can dodge bullets, baby.
This is beyond fairy tale. It's inconceivable.
There it is! Doyle's done it!
Eastgate steps into poker history.
This is the greatest tournament in the world!
It's a dream for anybody who plays cards to play in this.
Somebody's got to win it, right? So why not you? For me.
Only 33 people have ever known
How it feels to be the champion of the world.
Hellmuth wins the championship.
What it takes to be the last one standing.
What it's like to have a life-changing victory.
Or a victory that changed the game.
Only 33 people can tell you.
There's nothing like it, baby.
It's the greatest feeling in the world.
This, my friends, is the main event.
Somewhere out there is the next one. Hand after hand. Bet after bet.
I love this game. Yes!
One will rise above the rest. One player will conquer all and earn their place amongst the greats.
All you need is a ticket and a dream.
Win the main event of the World Series of Poker, and you will know. The crowds are back.
One World Series to another.
The excitement is back. The hopes and dreams are back.
Next world champ, right here.
Yes, the main event is finally here.
Have a good World Series, everyone.
Hi, everybody. I'm Lon McCarran along with Norman Chad, and we are thrilled to be back for the biggest event of the year, the World Series of Poker main event, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Thousands of poker players have descended upon the Rio, making this 40th annual main event amongst the largest in history, with 6,494 entrants.
I came to gamble, honey. I'm gonna win this thing.
From average Joes to top pros and former champs.
This is my new family picture. When I kiss my picture, I'm gonna go all in.
All are here hoping to make the November 9, the main event final table, and ultimately take home the $8.5 million top prize and the title of poker's world champion.
It's the big one, Lon, and I am stoked!
Norman, let's get right to our featured table lineup.
Our featured table is stacked with pros, including the incomparable Alan Cunningham, a 5-time bracelet winner. Ellie Alezra is best known for being one of the high-stakes regulars in the big game here in Las Vegas. And there is Lex Veldhuis, the young online star, made his first World Series final table this year.
The only one of this group to make a main event final table is Alan Cunningham.
Alan, none of us make it the final table in the World Series over here. Come forward, though, right?
Yeah, that's true.
That's what you live for the rest of your life, man. Going for you. Unless you win it this year.
Right. Well, I'll have it, by the end of my life, I'll have it 4 or 5 times.
Alan's last bracelet came in 2007. There sits the bracelet for the big one, the bracelet for the future world champion. This is the first of 4 day ones of the main event. Get right to action. There is Simon Wenz, 22-year-old student from Germany, on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky pocket cam.
I love beef jerky.
Jack, 8 of clubs.
You say he's a student, Lon. We are all students of life.
Indeed. A raise to 600. The blinds at 1 and 200. Ellie Alezra.
Some of us are better at studying life than others. Ellie is one of them.
Queen 10, he calls. Cunningham with pocket trays.
Let's raise it up. Let's play some Alan Cunningham poker.
Oh, he calls.
Oh.
Brian Pincus, CEO of a software testing service with pocket 4s. He calls.
Pocket pairs don't raise. You can't win with scared money. I know. I was born scared.
Here's Cody Slaybaugh, king queen suited in the big blind.
5 to the flop already? I got agita.
Jack 5-9. Mwens hits top pair. Pincus with a pair of 4s is first to act. He checks. Cody Slaybaugh needs a 10 to make his straight. He checks. Mwens checks as well.
What's Mwens waiting for? His bags to clear customs?
He has a pair of jacks. Alezra checks a straight draw. Cunningham checks his trays.
Ellie could have given us some action.
Turn card is an 8, and Ellie Alezra fills his straight and takes command.
Ellie's got a straight flush draw on day 1 of the main event. I should have worn my Depends.
Slayball checked. Muenz now with 2 pair. Jacks and 8s. He's going to bet 2,300.
Well, Muenz should have bet the flop, but he would have just lost more chips because Ellie would have called.
Yeah, Muenz now a long shot to win the hand. Ellie with the straight, with the raise to 5,300. Cunningham folds. Pincus gets out of the way. Slayball says no thanks.
Muenz liked his 2 pair. Understandably, now he doesn't like them. There could be a straight out there or a flush out there. There could be a straight flush out there.
He called for 3,000 more. Heads up with Ellie. 5 on the river. Elezra has the best hand. He earns the check mark. And Muenz checks again.
Yeah, the wrong card paired for Muenz.
Ellie with 8,000.
This is not an automatic fold for Muenz. Ellie could have been trying to buy the pot on the turn with a straight or flush draw and now is bluffing again. Heck, I might call here.
This kid has 2 pair, but he gives them up. What a nice fold from Muenz.
Well, Ellie Elezra likes to play a lot of hands, and this one pays off.
Ellie Elezra will stack his newfound chips.
Bring Phil Ivey.
Ellie takes an early pot and already talking trash. Careful what you wish for, Ellie. Of course, Phil Ivey will be playing, but not until a later day 1 session of this main event. Norman, every year we anticipate this day, and every year it never disappoints. The road to discovering our next main event champion has just begun, and ultimately we will find out if another unknown captures the glory or if a big name can finally reclaim the championship.
Lon, touch my hand. Do you feel the excitement? This is it. We've heard that guy tell us this is the greatest tournament in the world. No, it's the greatest event in the galaxy. Anyone can play, anyone can win. Heck, we could bound and gag Lon, stick him in a potato sack and roll him out onto the Amazon room floor, and he might make the final table. I love the main event.
It is a spectacle not to be missed. Here you see the chip colors and their denominations for these early rounds. Your $10,000 buy-in gets you $30,000 in tournament chips. That's $10,000 more than last year. There's Gavin Smith out in the field today, still looking for bracelet number 1.
You can't fold the cameras on you. I can do whatever I want. I'm my own man.
He's right. I once asked him to stop making fun of me, and he made more fun of me.
I'm a rule maker. I'm all about a Twizzler.
And see, I once told him to stop snacking at the table, and he didn't listen to me.
You don't get this body without eating a little licorice along the way.
It is quite an experience to find yourself at the same table as Gavin Smith. Also here today, Andy Block. He's come close to a bracelet, most memorably finishing second to Chip Reese in the 06 horse event.
He now has 23 World Series cashes, but no bracelet, and hat aside, he really should have a bracelet. He deserves one.
Did this continue that line of hat, Andy?
Actually, from when I played Chip Reese, it's still the same hat.
Andy hoping the hat works again today. Another top pro looking for his first bracelet, the Great Dane, Gus Hansen.
He's made deep runs in the last couple of main events.
800? I can't afford that.
Gus has finished 160th and 61st in the last 2 main events, but at this moment, Norman, he seems more concerned with giving his fans some quality time.
Geez, when they take my picture, nobody ever touches me.
Perfect.
Nobody ever hugs or kisses me either.
Gus does have quite a magnetic quality to him. Let's go over to table 2. We find another strong pro who was seeking his first bracelet. That is until this year when Greg Mueller won 2 bracelets. But Greg's still looking for his first main event cash. Looks down at 9-5 of hearts.
The 38-year-old Canadian had cashed 17 times at the World Series before he finally won a bracelet, and then he won 2 in about 10 days.
Greg raises to 550. Now to Jacob Carlson, 21-year-old Swedish poker pro, pocket 6s.
I'd give anything to be 21 again and have a pocket pair.
A call of 550. This is Jose de Otiza, ace 10.
He's the CEO of an advertising company. Lon, when you are a CEO, you are the boss.
He calls as well. 3 players to the flop. It is 6-5-9. Carlson with a set of 6s. Mueller hits 2 pair, 9s and 5s.
If Greg Mueller were listening to really good music, it would have stopped when that flop hit the board.
He's going to bet it 1,100 with his 2 pair. Carlson ahead with the 3 6s. Just with a smooth call.
I'd give anything to be 21 again and slow playing a set.
The Otiza folds. Turn card now is a king. That will keep Carlson ahead.
Mueller doesn't see any reason to slow down.
Mueller has chips, and he puts in 2,175. Carlson. He's going to push the action. A raise to 5,600.
Well, now there's a reason for Greg to slow down.
Not much. He does make the quick call. River card now is a 5. Both players hit a full house. Mueller's second best, 5s full of 9s. Carlson with a check mark, 6s full of 5s.
Well, if Greg had hit a 9, it would have been the best card in the deck for him, 9s full. Instead, he hits a 5, which is the worst card in the deck for him, 5s full.
This might be an expensive river card. Mueller bets 8,500.
Carlson might be worried. No, he's not.
No, he's all in for over 18,000.
A concern for Greg, and usually whoever takes his headphones off first is in trouble.
Mueller needs a little more than 9,500 to make the call.
We have pocket 6s?
That would be the right read.
I got a full house. I mean, flush is no good.
Flush? He ain't got no stinking flush.
You just seem way too calm. Sorry? I said you seem way too calm.
Mueller seems to have the situation cased, but he doesn't want to give it up just yet.
All right.
Greg makes the call.
Nah, I knew he had pocket 6s. I mean, it's
so why'd you call?
vicious.
Carlson with an early double up to over 51,000.
Yeah, tough hand for Greg, and God, I'd give anything to be 21 again and raking in a big pot.
Main event torture continues.
The main event definitely is not for the faint of heart.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Sign up for the official WSOP e-newsletter at WSOP.com and FullTiltPoker.net. Learn, chat, and play with the pros. The World Series of Poker, 40th Annual Memories.
And it's a 9, and Johnny Chan has done it.
The single greatest accomplishment in the World Series of Poker is Johnny Chan winning the main event in 1987, winning it again in 1988, and then finishing second in 1989.
It's hard to win a tournament. It's hard to win it twice, and it's hard to come second the third year.
Once again, Johnny Chan has done it.
That was the best streak anybody ever had. It was amazing.
After his first-second run, Johnny Chan finished 7th in 1992, so that was 4 main event final tables for Chan in 6 years.
But the Orient Express is running a little behind schedule here today, Norman, as he takes his seat in the Rio Poker Room. 10 bracelets already. What a thrill it would be to tie Phil Hellmuth for 11 bracelets by taking down this title.
If you get your picture on the wall, you don't need ID. Try that one sometime.
I have my picture on the wall at the post office.
Another former world champ playing today. That's Jerry Yang. He won it all in 2007. He's hooked up in a hand right now with 22-year-old Marco Mattis on a flop of 7-7-10. Yang checked. Mattis bets 26-25.
Mattis, an economics student at Akkad in Frankfurt. I believe they are the Raging Cajuns.
Jerry makes the call. Turn card now is a 4 of diamonds.
Yang's about to open up a restaurant, Pocket Aces Sushi and Grill. If my wife's still talking to me, I'd like to make a reservation for opening night.
Mattis with a big bet.
I'm all in.
That would put Yang all in. Yang makes the call. Jerry at risk. Yang shows 10s full. Mattis kings up.
Yeah, Yang flopped the full house and slow played.
Yes.
River card, another 10. Jerry slams the door closed, hitting quad 10s.
Yang feeling some 07 magic there.
I needed that one. Quads, men. 4 10s.
Yeah, Jerry's back above the starting stack. That's Yang's game. Big swings in his chip stack. And a family picture brought him luck there. Let's get back to our high-powered featured table where 5-time bracelet winner Alan Cunningham hopes to make a run for number 6.
Alan's had a quiet World Series. He shouldn't play Queen 10, but he's going to have to start playing something if he wants to make some noise.
No momentum for Allen. Folded over to Eli Alezra with pocket 4s. He can find momentum in any starting cards.
Yeah, Eli has such a joy for lifeline that he brings to the table, and I think it makes him a better poker player.
Eli raised it to 600. Lex Veldhuis with 9-7 off in the small blind. 25-year-old pro, yeah, he can get creative. A raise to 2,300.
Well, Lex has a joy for 9-7 off, and that makes him a dangerous poker player.
Eli makes the call.
I can make you chip leader of the whole tournament.
All right, let's see it flop. 6 ace 5. Alezra still with the best hand. Lex with a gut shot straight draw.
Lex was born in the Netherlands, but he's largely a Las Vegas resident now.
And he comes out with 3,300.
He's got a lot of pep in his step.
He does.
I like the speech. I can make you chip leader of all this tournament.
Well, if you fold, I like it too.
He's telling the truth there.
Because you're so good, I'm gonna fold a pair.
Pocket four's in the muck, and Lex shows him the bluff.
That's why I'm saying you're so good.
Lex showing him the bluff, hoping that the next time he's showing him the nuts.
Veldhuis takes a small pot from Ellie.
I'm telling you, he's the best player on the field today.
He's the best player in the entire tournament? Anywhere?
Today. Today. Today.
Well, I'm sure he's the best on the table, but I don't know about...
Alan, today on the field.
I understand.
Alan may disagree, but high praise from Ellie for Lex Veldhuis, who has everyone on their heels. Next Tuesday, Daniel Negreanu, Phil Hellmuth, two of the most dynamic poker personalities in the game, begin their main event quest. And on November 10th, 9 players take center stage, but only one will walk away with the biggest prize in poker. Every Tuesday night at 8 and 9 p.m., the World Series of Poker on ESPN.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back inside the Rio to our featured table on day 1 of the 2009 main event.
Lon, have I mentioned I am stoked?
Lex with King Jack.
Lex is 25, but he plays more like he's 26 or 27.
A raise to 600.
Does Alan have somewhere to go? I wish he'd sit down.
He folds. Folded over to Simon Muenz, 7-6 of hearts.
Muenz is 22 years old. I'm guessing he's a Capricorn.
He makes the call. He'll go heads up against Lex. Here's the flop, 10-7-6. Muenz with 2 pairs, 7s and 6s. A swing and a miss by Lex. Lex checks.
We saw Muenz check 2 pair in an earlier hand. He's not going to make that same mistake again.
That's 1,100.
Raise.
And Lex with a check raise bluff to 5,000.
Well, now I think Muenz wishes he had checked. Veldhuis turns up the heat with no hand and no draw.
3,900 from Simon. He makes the call.
Veldhuis has seized control of the pot with that check raise.
Turn card, Queen of Clubs. Muenz still best. Veldhuis picks up an up and down straight draw. And he's firing like he's already got a made hand. 6,800.
Yeah, he picked up a straight draw, but he doesn't have a club. He doesn't have a pair. But Lex has enormous pep in his step. And if you're Muenz, you have to worry that Lex check raised on the flop with a club draw and got there.
Muenz is going to come along. So now the river card is a 4 of clubs, 4 clubs on the board, but as you said, nobody's got a club, so Muenz with the check mark, 2 pair.
Lex has king high.
And Lex is going to bet 7,000.
Veldhuis raised pre-flop, check raised the flop, let out on the turn, and now value bet bluffs the river, and all this activity holding absolutely nothing.
Well, this board's set up pretty well for a bluff there on the river with all those clubs.
Well, Muenz over there looks like he's caught in a traffic jam and doesn't know whether to get off the next exit or stick to the freeway.
Muenz gives up the best hand. Lex shows the bluff once again and takes the pot the only way he could.
Translation, you scallywag me.
Lex Veldhuis may be young, but he does not lack experience. Playing extensively online, he's quickly learned what can take years to master.
I played video games a lot, also on the internet. A friend of mine said I should try and look into poker. I get heavily addicted to stuff I play. I'm very OCD in games. Oh wait, I'm in the hand. Wake up at 10, play all day. I normally play 30 tables at a time when I do play online. Don't act like you're Euro. I played like 120, 130 hours a week. Once I started winning, I ran it up and started playing for a living. I used to do some crazy stuff online, and one of those things definitely was playing 200, 400 against Phil Ivey. I was awake for like 30 hours already, and then I saw Phil sitting, I was like, yeah. And then I sat down and I didn't go pro, so I was like, yes. That was definitely a mental victory for me. I call. Online players deserve the respect, I think, but live players do as well. You can both learn from each other. I'm all in. This year I've been having a lot of fun, so it's a good start.
Lex was introduced to poker by fellow online phenom Bertrand Grospellier. The two became friends through the online game StarCraft. StarCraft? Whatever happened to stickball and ping pong?
Several well-known poker personalities in the field today, including Phil Locke, who actually looks like Phil Locke today.
200.
Phil, as you recall, dressed up like an old man in last year's day 1 of the main event.
3 9s and 2 5s. Probably the best hand. I mean, I know quad 5 is out there, but if you had it, you don't get any beef jerky.
I think he's trying to pat himself on the back, but he can't reach that far.
Through the many grueling hours of the main event, Phil is a walking, talking shot of caffeine. His girlfriend, Jennifer Tilly, also playing today. She once won the ladies' event at the World Series, but has never gotten past day one of the main event.
I always loved her in that preposterous 1989 gambling film with Richard Dreyfuss, Let It Ride.
Jen, not the only Hollywood celebrity playing today. There's actor Jason Alexander of Seinfeld.
I love Seinfeld.
At the same table, Brad Garrett from Everybody Loves Raymond.
I like Raymond.
They're in a hand together.
Start shooting.
We're shooting, don't worry, Jason. And Brad folds to Jason.
There's a poker face for you.
250 total.
Did you get it on film? All right. Look.
No second takes there. Good hand for Jason.
Roll around in it.
Brad's got 3 Emmys. Jason has none, but Jason's got Brad's chips.
When you're good, man. He's good.
Nearby another star, but from a different discipline. Former Major League pitcher Oral Hershiser back at the main event.
I don't understand. If he had played in the NBA, would he bring a basketball to the table?
Well, Oral will win that small pot, and the 1988 World Series MVP is about even in chips so far.
You put pheasant under glass, not baseballs.
I'm like, if he got kings and races, I'm probably going to go broke.
Well, out in the field, Oral Hershiser's safe for now. Let's get back to our featured table, where the man of the hour has been Lex Veldhuis, showing a couple of big bluffs. And there is poker pro Evelyn Ng. She's not playing today, but rooting for her boyfriend, Lex Veldhuis.
Well, what does Lex have that I don't?
Looks, money, intelligence, Evelyn.
Sure, but I got a mustache.
Lex has 8-7 offsuit. A raise to 700 on Alan Cunningham now. Jack 10. Nope, not this time.
Where has my Alan Cunningham gone? What's he doing?
Just joining this table, another strong pro, CK Wah with pocket sixes.
He is a Men the Master protege, 13 World Series cashes, 3 final tables.
He makes the call. He'll go heads up with Veldhuis at the flop. It's 9-10. Jack. Lex flops that Jack high straight. CK left with his pocket sixes. He checks.
And Lex is the chosen one today.
Oh, and Lex checks.
Lex bets when he has nothing, checks when he has something.
Yeah, a 9 of hearts, both with flush draws. Lex with a straight flush draw.
Another straight flush draw? Lon, I'm bursting at the seams.
CK checks. Now Lex is going to bet it 1,200.
Well, that heart is another reason for Hua to stick around. He's got a flush draw, plus his 2 pair might be the best hand.
Yeah, and he does make the call. They'll see a river card. 8 of hearts. Lex with the straight flush. Hang on, Norman.
Lord, my seams have burst. Anytime I've ever seen a straight flush, I've gotten married like the next day.
CK with an inferior flush checks.
With Lex's starting hand, the chances of him hitting a straight flush were less than 1 in 100,000.
He bets 3,500 with a straight flush.
So Lex is a tricky fella. We saw him with a value bet bluff on a previous hand. Now we see him overbet the pot with the nuts. And it looks like CK Hua might just look him up.
CK thinking about it. And makes the call. But CK will come up short to Lex Veldhuis.
Straight flush.
Now we're going to play some poker, boys.
Lex Veldhuis does it again.
I think she's waving to me.
Evelyn happy with those results. Veldhuis is invincible. Right here, right now, it's good to be Lex.
Booyah! I've got a straight flush, I can't believe it.
Anything can happen at the main event, and it usually does. You just gotta pray the cards fall your way. Going deep in the main event certainly requires a bit of luck, and there are a few players in today's field who could have used just a little more, like Dewey Tomko. He never won the main event, but finished second twice.
Each time he finished second, he went all in with the best of it and came out with the worst of it.
Another runner-up finisher is Johnny Chan. He finished second to Phil Hellmuth in '89, but in Johnny's case, it came after he won back-to-back titles. Chan in a hand with Steve Paul Ambrose here.
Looks like Johnny with his own coin flip on whether to call.
Does he want to go all in? He does put himself at risk against Steve Paul Ambrose, but Chan with the best of it, ace-king against Paul Ambrose, ace-queen. Flop comes out, and Chan is good so far. Trey on the turn.
Only a queen would knock out Chan.
River card and ace. Chan doubles up.
Winner, winner, chicken for dinner.
Johnny with about 13,000 chips.
All right, come back another 30 minutes.
I've set my watch, Lon.
Joining us now at table 2, perhaps the most famous main event runner-up, Sam Farha. He, of course, finished second to Chris Moneymaker in 2003.
That does not appear to be a Sam Farha shirt.
I'm used to it, that's all right.
Sam is out of this pot, but Greg Mueller is not. Greg flopped flush and straight draws. And he is going to push all in. Action over to Gerald Treglio.
Well, Mueller pushes on a draw, and I think he'd prefer to just push Treglio out right now.
Treglio holding the best hand right now, the pair of queens, but they go into the muck. And Greg takes the pot. Mueller, a former pro hockey player, may have not had much success at the main event, but this year he proved he's more than just a journeyman poker player when he won his first 2 bracelets.
Winning 2 bracelets in about 10 days I don't think I ever dreamed of doing that. When I won the first tournament, I realized maybe it was destiny for me that day. But at the time, it was just emotional and it was, special for me. It was just a great feeling. I was like on cloud 9. It was awesome. Just as it was starting to sink in, I won my second one. I was playing super aggressive and I just started winning pot after pot after pot. And then all of a sudden, wow, am I really going to win 2 here in a week? And it was crazy. You hear guys like Phil Ivey winning 2 bracelets. Now I win 2 bracelets. And, anytime you're mentioned with that guy in the same sentence, it's pretty special.
Second WSOP gold bracelet. Wear it proudly, wear it well. Congratulations.
When you're playing good and running good, you go a long way. I think this is my year.
Greg's first bracelet was in the World Championship Limit Hold'em event. The key moment came when they were 3-handed. Chip leader Chad Brown made an ace-high flush. At the same time, Mueller made a straight flush.
And with his 2 wins, Greg makes the short list of multiple bracelet winners here in 2009. How about Lisandro? 3 bracelets this year, Norman.
Yeah, he plays good.
Back now to the feature table.
I don't know if everybody is like me, having a dream to double on Lex. Just let me wake up with a hand and double on this guy.
That's the sad thing, that you actually need a hand, that you cannot just force yourself to double or something.
Ellie, not the only one who can dish it out. Time now for our Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. We'll conceal one player's whole card so you can test your poker reading skills.
This, of course, accentuates my unmatched analytical prowess.
Simon wins. We know what he has. Pocket 10s.
Oh, but I can tell you what suits he has, Lon.
A raise to 900. Lex Veldhuis now. 25-year-old pro. He has the wild card hand. Good luck figuring him out, Norman.
He's got it. I am overmatched. I'm going to take a sick day, Lon.
He makes the call for 900.
I'll put him on medium-suited connectors, but don't hold me to it.
Over to Alan Cunningham. Alan with ace-jack. Alan doesn't seem quite with it, but makes the call.
I don't like the way he flicked that chip in. His head's not in the game.
3 to the flop. 4, trade deuce. Wins. No improvement on his pocket 10s. And he checks. Lex now. Bets 2,300.
See, if Lex has, say, 8-9 suited, that missed him unless he has hearts. Now, the old Alan Cunningham would sense weakness here and raise with nothing.
But with 2 overs and a wheel draw, he folds. Now to wins. Pocket 10s.
I'm telling you, Lex has squad douche. We've seen this movie before.
3 baby cards on that flop. He will call.
I don't like that call. You have to raise Lex.
Turn card, 9 of hearts. Wins with a flush draw. He checks again. Now Lex. Never shy about betting, and he comes out with 6,000 here.
If Lex has hearts, Muenz is in awful shape, but I still think Lex has air, so I want to see Muenz check raise Lex from here to Dusseldorf. Put in a raise, son, and you'll see where you stand. Be a man.
A 22-year-old German student.
Do it.
Who got bluffed earlier by Lex. Just calls.
I'm not happy with that. We don't get any more information on Lex's hand with just a call there.
River card is an ace, and Muenz has more to worry about. That could sink his ship. He checks a 3rd time.
By checking again, Muenz has handed the keys to the bank to the robber baron.
Come all in.
And he bursts through the safe door all in from Lex Veldhuis.
You gotta love Lex's style. Yeah, I think he has squad douche on a stick, but that bet is for all of Muenz's chips. So ask yourself at home, folks, if your tournament life is on the line and you don't know what Lex has, what do? So many hands might beat you now. Muck it, son.
Simon folds the 10s.
I don't blame him. If he was wrong with his read, he'd be gone from the main event.
And Lex shows a bluff. King 6. Oh,
man. My read was right, but then I didn't trust it. Sorry, Simon. I screwed us up.
This is the 2nd time he showed bluff to Simon.
Who would put him on King 6? That is the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wildcard hand.
Shame on you.
Most people in this room are playing their cards. Lex Veldhuis is playing poker. Time now for Deal Me In, brought to you by FullTiltPoker.net, where we find out what the pros were thinking while they were playing. In the 05 Rincon Circuit Championship, Chris Ferguson had to figure out the best way to play his big hand heads up against Prahlad Friedman.
I'm dealt ace-10. That's a very powerful hand heads up. So of course I raise.
34,000 chips.
He flat calls, which is fine. Flop comes ace-ace-jack.
Oh my, trip aces for Jesus.
Now that's a fantastic flop. There really aren't that many hands that beat me here. He checks to me. Now a lot of people would slow play here, but I decided to actually play fast and bet out in this situation. I don't want to let a straight draw get there without having him pay. Turn comes fourth ace.
Chris Ferguson has quad aces.
Not only can my hand not be beat now, but he's less likely to think I have an ace. He checks to me. I bet again, knowing I got the nuts. The river comes to king. Turns out he has king-jack. That actually makes it a lot harder for him to fold.
There would be only one card in the entire deck, the ace of hearts, that could beat him, and Chris Ferguson has it.
He checks to me again. So I bet pretty big, 345,000.
You get blessed with quads here?
He calls my hand.
Jesus reveals the fourth ace.
I think the key moment comes down to my decision to bet out on the flop. You don't always want to slow play your strong hands.
Chris Ferguson, the 2000 main event champ, not playing in this session, but will join us in the next. Meanwhile, back to our feature table. Action on Eli Elezra, won his first and only bracelet in 2007. He has Queen 9 off suit, a call of 300.
Eli served 4 years in the Israeli army.
Lex Veldhuis with 6-4, yeah, a raise. Why not?
I think Lex served 4 years in a trade school for bluffing.
Pocket queens for Brian Pincus. Re-raise.
My daughter tells me this morning, you've got to be very, very quiet so you don't wake up the donkeys.
Well, he was very loud with that re-raise, and that should clear out the riffraff.
That does clear out Eli Elezra, but not Lex Veldhuis with 6-4.
Well, I cleared out some of the riffraff.
There's the flop, 8-5-5. Queens are still good for Pincus. Lex picked up a gut shot straight draw. And he's going to bet it, of course, 5,200.
The Lex Veldhuis circus act continues, a stop-and-go bluff there.
Pincus thinks about it, then makes the call.
Lex with a lot of pep in his step, but he's bound to step in a hole, no?
Turn card, another 8. 2 8s, 2 5s on the board.
Lex needs a t-shirt that says full speed ahead.
Yeah, 10,700, more than half the pot is the bet.
Anyone can make a pre-flop bluff or post-flop play, but to fire a third bullet on a bluff, Lex pressures Pincus into a tough decision.
Oh, and he gives up the queens. Lex has done it again. And he shows again.
Don't show another bluff. Stop it.
Lex with a clinic in putting your opponents to the test and watching them fail.
Lex running over this table.
He lives by the sword, he's going to die by the sword.
Lex Veldhuis has the flashiest sword in town.
Where else can you pay $10,000 for this much fun?
Brian is good-natured about being, what would you say, hornswoggled?
Something like that.
All right, let's go back into the field and catch up with one of the world champs in action today. We find Jerry Yang locked in a big hand with Keely Madrid. Keely was a professional boxer from Maui. Action on Madrid. And he's going to re-raise it to 28,000 on a flop of 6-6 queen.
Yang needs almost half of his stack to call here. Jerry was a bit of a calling station during the 07 main event, and it served him well.
Not quite sure what to do here with Keely Madrid.
After his boxing career ended, Madrid became a poker dealer so he could learn about the game.
Did Jerry want to play with him?
I'm gonna let you take it.
Yang will lay it down, and Keely Madrid will take the pot. He shows ace-9. Wow, bluffing rampant here at the Rio, Norman.
You're kidding me, man.
Sometimes it's like that, guys. Sometimes it's like that.
And sometimes it's like that. The 07 world champion can only shake his head and shake it off.
Jerry Yang not happy. Elsewhere in the room, the ladies are still hovering around the most eligible bachelor in poker, Gus Hansen.
You know, if I wore that t-shirt, I might look just as good.
Gus in a hand right now with Wes Simpson. And this is the main event in a nutshell. You got an amateur from Sacramento, California against an international pro.
Well, Simpson just back from Safari, just south of Reno.
Hansen checked the turn.
Simpson attended American River College in Sacramento. I believe they are the Raging Cajuns.
Simpson bets 2,200 into Gus.
See, I don't think those facial expressions are all that attractive, but the gals just swarm him.
Gus Hansen fires back, a raise to 7,000.
Simpson wishes he was back on Safari.
He needs 4,800 to call, and he thinks nothing of it. River card now. Deuce of spades. Hansen fires out a little over 4,000.
Simpson's nickname is Double Down, which he got from blackjack, but this is poker.
Oh, I called.
He makes the call.
I have no idea what's going on.
Ace King for Gus.
Apparently I don't either.
Ace Queen for Wes.
I didn't know if it was good or not.
You know, they only clap for me when I leave the room.
Both with big aces, the pro outkicks the amateur.
Wow. I actually have a chance of surviving day one.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Welcome back to the Rio and the 2009 main event. Looks like Jerry Yang and his meager chip stack is on the move.
Wow. Not much to fight, guys.
And Jerry's sitting across from Johnny Chan.
Only 33 people have ever won the big one. Only 3 former champions are in the field today, and 2 of them are at the same table. Hold me, Lon.
And that's Cobra Cow in between them.
I don't believe he's won the main event.
I'm just looking, I got a lot of chips. Stuck between 2 world champions. I'm all right, but I don't know, you two. Still a little nervous. I'm like a little intimidated still.
Intimidating? Yeah, I think so. Yang on his left, Chan on his right, only at the main event.
Or at the Champions Invitational.
What's Cobra Cow doing?
He's texting. Jerry Yang, 2007 World Series champion, just sat to my left, so I have Johnny to my right and Yang to my left, but I'm still massive chip leader. Boy, he writes better than I do.
As a poker player, you dream about playing with these guys, but it could be your worst nightmare.
And Cobra Cow with a nice tattoo on his right arm. Jerry Yang, of course, with a nice main event bracelet on his right wrist.
Good luck to Cobra Cow out there. Meanwhile, Oral Hershiser is still in the game. Then a hand, and the river card is already out. Oral has made a bet.
I mean, I guess we're lucky he didn't put his baseball glove under glass and bring it to the table.
He does take down the pot.
You guys wanted quads, better look down here.
He's got quad. Hell, he had quad kings.
I can confirm it was quads.
Oral has come to the World Series for several years now and become a true poker player. So we decided to have some fun and see if some great poker players could become true baseball players, at least for a day, in this edition of The Nuts. We assembled 6 poker heavy hitters to see if they could hit a Cy Young Award winner.
We were playing a little wiffle ball, except we got Oral Hershiser on the mound throwing the wiffle ball.
If I don't get a hit here against Oral, I mean, I think that's pretty much the expectation.
I'm really glad the balls are plastic and full of holes.
Oral is past his prime. I think we're safe. Okay, never mind.
I'm gonna do my best to embarrass them.
You're going down. Big guys go down hard. You're going down. Let's go!
The goal was simple. Just try and get a hit. Next.
Oh. Let's go, me.
Oh my God.
Come on, Greg, put one out there.
All right, racquetball time. Oh! Over the fence. No. Come on! Fair.
You're well done, champ. Mm-hmm.
Very good. That was quite a shot. Woo-hoo. I've given up longer.
If you were on your stomach trying to blow a bunt base hit by Greg Raymer foul, you have seen your better days. Very, very sad.
Back now to our featured table. New player has joined us, Tom Richter, a 25-year-old German native now living in Australia. And on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam.
Beef Jerky.
Tom has Ace-Jack offsuit.
Raise.
If Lex plays, he'll probably bluff Richter off the ace.
He does raise to 1,050. Ellie Alezra with King 10.
Ellie's itching to play.
Ellie's going to come along. Now Lex. King 4 of spades.
Raise, make it 4,000.
Of course he made it 4,000. Oh, look, it's Alan Cunningham. Or he used to be Alan Cunningham.
Queen Trey, he folds.
Man, he hasn't seen anything to play today.
No. Over to Simon Mwins. 7-6 of hearts in the big blind.
Well, he is in the big blind, but he has been so battered by Lex, I think he should just avoid him at all costs.
No, all in with 7-6 of hearts. This is the main event.
All in? I never saw that coming. He's got 60 big blinds left.
Fold it over to Lex.
Well, maybe it'll work, because the last obstacle is Veldhuis, and he'd have to put in a lot of chips to defend the honor of his King 4.
Well, Lex has the best hand. Wins is slightly favored because Ellie folded a king, and Lex makes the call.
That's a good call. He's got the right price. He's in a race.
Good call.
And he is tormenting poor Simon Wens.
How did you know you got the best hand?
It's Lex Veldhuis.
Yeah, who are you, sir? I'm Lex Veldhuis.
The ultimate torment now. Wins at risk. King high still best for Lex after the flop.
I still don't know how Lex made that call.
8 of spades, a gut shot straight draw for Simon now.
Wens now will need a 6, 7, or 9, or he's wamboozled.
River card is a 4. Simon Wens is eliminated. So playing 7-6 for all your chips in the main event can get you knocked out, nice. Norman. Who knew?
Okay. Simon Wens swept out of here by Hurricane Lex.
He's rather subdued.
Why did he call?
And certainly a bit stunned.
Thank you.
And now he's learned to never try and con a con man.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side, and in part by WSOP.com. Get official items for your home poker game at WSOP.com.
Back to action inside the Rio. Let's get to table 2. Greg Mueller is facing elimination.
If he gets knocked out, does the massage keep going?
His pocket fives lead the ace-jack of Jacob Carlson after a flop of deuce-king Trey.
Mueller pushed all in pre-flop.
Turn card now, 10 of clubs. Carlson with a gut shot straight draw.
Not a good card for Greg to see. Carlson now needs an ace, queen, or jack to knock out Mueller.
River's a 7 of clubs. Mueller will win that hand to double up and ease the pain of a trying day.
Now, it looks like Greg Mueller might survive day 1.
Meanwhile, Jason Alexander's opponent just shoved all in. Jason has him covered. Does Jason want to commit the chips right here? He does make the call. And Jason turns over pocket 10s. He's up against a jack-high flush. Yeah, Jason needs a lot of help. A jack on the turn gives him some hope. Another jack gives him the hand with a full house. Brad happy to see his sitcom compadre win that pot.
Don't celebrities use up most of their luck in real life?
I thought he was trying to scare me out of it. That is unbelievable.
I think he put you on big chair.
Okay, I'm
Yes, I'm ready.
I'll be back.
I'm going to the pharmacy very quickly.
George Costanza is among the day 1 chip leaders. He must be doing the opposite of what he thinks he should do.
Meanwhile, at our unofficial champions table, Johnny Chan barely hanging on. Jerry Yang, though, has put all his chips at risk. His opponent, a Mississippi construction worker, Chris Lovelace. And Lovelace calls. Yang at risk.
Oh, good call, sir. I got live cards.
Jerry with Jack 7, Lovelace ace-king.
Lovelace finished 109th in the main event the year Yang won it.
Jerry pairs a 7, he's got the lead, but a king on the turn, Lovelace ahead. The river card is a 4, and Jerry Yang is eliminated.
So this time the construction worker outlasts the social worker, and Jerry Yang is done in 2009.
Jerry has been active in several philanthropic endeavors. We wish him well with those efforts. Back now to our featured table. It's been a rough day for Alan Cunningham, and it's cost him about 2/3 of his starting stack.
Alan probably would give up one of his bracelets just to see a big pocket pair.
Action on Lex Veldhuis. He looks down. Oh my goodness, he's got a real hand. Pocket kings.
That's just not fair.
Raise.
A raise to 1,000.
Is Lex allowed to raise pre-flop with a real hand?
I don't know. Over to Alan Cunningham. Queen 8 of diamonds. And a re-raise from Alan to 3,700.
Alan trying to out-Lex Lex.
Good luck.
Lex is going to re-raise to put Alan all in.
Put it in there?
Alan does call, put himself at risk with his Queen 8.
Best hand I had the whole day.
Alan card dead all day, reduced to pushing with a motley Queen 8.
Queen, 2 queens. Queen 8. 2 8s. Hello.
There's the flop. Deuce, ace, Trey.
Diamond,
Kings
diamond.
are still best for Lex.
Thanks, friend.
Oh, you're welcome.
You're too kind.
Come on, this is all in Cunningham, buddy.
Okay, give me a diamond.
Ellie has declared himself as a Cunninghamite.
Diamond.
Turn card. Jack of clubs. That's going to end it. Alan Cunningham drawing dead. He is eliminated by Lex Veldhuis.
Cunningham goes out with a whimper. Veldhuis wins a hand without bluffing.
Even the donkey wake up with a hand once in a while.
This donkey's got a lot of kick.
Big pot.
Quite a low-key exit for one of the game's best. The cruelty of the main event spares no one.
Alan Cunningham was sitting on a pile of nothing all day. The 2005 World Series Player of the Year is out of the 09 main event.
I actually lied. I think he's much better player than you, and he got much better record than you.
Ellie keeps kicking the donkey.
That's not so hard, believe me.
Lex trying to be humble, but he put on quite a show today. Among the masses in this day one field are many who know what it's like to win the main event. Moneymaker, Ferguson, Raymer, and the great Doyle Brunson begin their pursuit to recapture poker's ultimate prize.
You know, anybody that has won the main event is capable of winning another one. It would really be nice to win one again.
But before you can win one again, you first have to win one. Mike Matusow is hoping this will be his year. He's made a habit out of making deep runs in this tournament, and perhaps there is a secret to his success.
The biggest thing that people don't realize is day one, it's a marathon, not a sprint, and that's what I know that they don't know.
Although he knows the journey, he never realized the destination, and he's come close to the promised land time and time and time again. His quest, their quest, the quest begins now. Welcome back to the 40th Annual World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky with Norman Chad. I'm Lon McCarran. A brand new cast of characters has once again flooded the Rio Poker Room. As this day is quickly turning into a family affair with father-son duo Barry Greenstein and Joe Seabach ready for action. 2003 main event champ Chris Moneymaker has his father faithfully on the rail, but the most famous poker family has to be the Brunsons. Todd and his sister Pam are anxious to get underway out in the field.
Cookies for chips. I'm bribing my table. Want another one?
While the patriarch of the family, Doyle Brunson, sits prominently at table 2, hoping to perhaps make one more run at the big one. Meanwhile, at our featured table is another very familiar presence, Norman.
A main event stalwart, Mike the Mouth Matusow. He has 4 deep runs in the main event in the last 8 years, and today, hopefully, no blow-ups.
Mike has once again adopted a new attitude towards life and poker.
Mike, tell me more about the positive thinking.
Positive thinking, buddy. That's what whole life's about. Not just in poker. Just life's all about the power of positive thinking.
We start with Mike Matusow on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky pocket cam.
I love beef jerky.
Mike the Mouth with pocket deuces.
Well, if you were thinking a little more positively, maybe those deuces would be aces.
Everyone started with 30,000 chips. That's 10,000 more than last year. Giuseppe Menino with ace-jack of hearts.
Race to 1,000.
Play for 1,000.
This is Menino's first live tournament ever.
Action on John Dodge from South Carolina, whose grandfather was John Dodge, who started the Dodge Automobile Company.
And this John Dodge only drives a Dodge.
Pocket sevens from the small blind, he makes the call. Mike kissing the chips goodbye.
How's that positive thinking to be kissing your chips goodbye?
3 players will see the flop. 5, deuce, jack, all diamonds. Matusow hits a set, Dodge a flush draw.
Matusow got the set he hoped for, but hates to see the diamonds.
Dodge checks his sevens. Matusow checks his set. Menino with top pair, which is no good right now. He's going to make it 1,000 to stick around.
John don't like it.
Well, Menino shouldn't like it either. He's the one betting 1,000, drawing almost dead.
John Dodge folds his pocket sevens.
Oh.
And Mike's not going anywhere, but a flat call.
Matusow keeping the pot small just in case he's beat.
Turn card, tray of hearts. Menino now with a gut shot straight draw. Mike first to act. He's going to check it.
It's 1,000.
Another 1,000 from Menino.
That's a tiny bet.
Raise.
Oh, check raise from Mike.
The Mouth has decided his set is good.
1 orange chip worth 5,000.
Menino works in construction. You don't see a whole lot of check raises on construction sites.
Mike, what are you doing to me?
I got Something.
That's actually an honest face, Giuseppe. I'd take his word.
You don't truly believe I'm bluffing you here, do you? I mean, I could be a real lowlife and bluff you here.
Doubt you're bluffing.
Menino gives it up.
I got a sec.
Wow, an honest conversation at the poker table.
The mouth playing friendly poker shows his hand.
Now I'm flopping sets. I don't know what's going on.
Give Matusow some chips early in the main event, and he can run the table on you. Then again, he could just as quickly give it back.
Norman, Mike Matusow is typically entertaining, often combustible, and usually very dangerous at the poker table. Perhaps more than any other player, Matusow is like that proverbial box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
It's been a good news, bad news year for Mike Matusow. The good news is, without ever having read a book, he wrote a book, Check Raising the Devil, and it's pretty good. The bad news is he's had an awful World Series. Of course, that could all change here. The Mouth has made 2 main event final tables this decade, and if he makes another one, maybe the author can write a storybook ending.
Mike has 3 storybook endings, 3 bracelets at the World Series, but he'd love the big one.
Mike's new book is at tableside, and it was written in English.
Could you do me the honor of signing my hat later?
I will. Also, on the next break, I'll get you guys some copies of my book.
Mike gave me a signed copy, but wrote Best Wishes Lon.
Out in the field, one player who won't have a lot to write about.
What are you going to do, eh?
Angelo Mealy.
First hand, pair of queens. He picks up aces.
The man who knocked him out is Angelo Ricci.
First hand, sat down, I'm out. I might broke a world's record.
Well, the Mouth says it's a marathon, and this fella played it like a sprint.
Well, Angelo perhaps tied a World Series record, but one man we know is breaking his own record. 96-year-old Jack Urey, once again the oldest entrant in main event history.
The George Burns of poker.
Jack's grandson Seth Harold on the rail, offering plenty of support. Oh, Jack won a hand.
That was a pretty hard call.
Yeah, but he's not going to let a bunch of 70-year-old young punks push him around.
Another amazing record breaker in the Rio Poker Room is Marlon Shirley. Marlon is the first Paralympic athlete to run the 100 meters in less than 11 seconds.
I've been to a lot of sporting events, man. I tell you, this is always an amazing thing to see.
Marlon is truly an amazing world-class athlete, and over at table 2, another man who was a top athlete in his day, Doyle Brunson. He ran track and played hoops well enough to be drafted by the Minneapolis Lakers. And right next to Doyle is former junior middleweight boxing champ Winky Wright. They're both involved in a hand with Daniel Didich and Dino Bravati. Didich leads after flopping a set of deuces. Bravati checked the turn. Action on Texas Dolly.
42.
Doyle's going to bet 4,200. He flopped top 2 pair.
None of the other players in this hand were alive when Doyle played in the first World Series in 1970.
Winky Wright folds king-queen. Didich now in the lead, makes the call.
Didich learned how to play by reading Doyle's Super System book.
Bravati folded, so heads up to the river. River card is an ace. Didich has the check mark with his set. Doyle with 2 pairs going to come out with 6,600.
Well, Doyle seems destined to lose a chunk of his stack, and maybe more if Didich raises them all in.
Didich just with the call. 2 pair, not going to be good here, Doyle. Didich going to win it with 3 deuces.
Par for the course.
Well, for Doyle, that's more of a bogey.
I let you off easy there.
Ignore him, Dolly. He's got your chips. You don't have to listen to him.
Didich has to feel pleased with taking down his hero.
First day of these tournaments, it's so slow. After you get through a couple of days, they're a lot of fun. It's hard to get through a couple of days, though.
Sage words of wisdom from one champion to another.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Sign up for the official WSOP e-newsletter at WSOP.com and FullTiltPoker.net. Learn, chat, and play with the pros.
Back in the Rio Poker Room, there is 2003 main event champ Chris Moneymaker, considered by many as the man to jumpstart the poker boom.
Chris still has not cashed in the main event since winning it.
Across the room, a man who was the face of poker in the 70s, 72 world champ Amarillo Slim, in a hand right now with Vo Tuan. The river card is out.
Once the most famous name in poker, Slim has not cashed in the main event since winning it in 1972.
Tuan bet, Slim raised it.
I'm gonna lie down here. You did the right thing.
Tell me what it is.
Don't tell him.
Okay.
Slim showed him his hand.
Amarillo Slim is one of the original trash talkers, and he still can dish it out at age 80.
You want to talk trash talkers? Let's go back to our featured table. Mike the Mouth Matusow.
You know, it's funny. I think I've only run good on a day one of the World Series main event like one time out of 11 years I played it.
And he hasn't been running good at this World Series, just one cash this year.
Mike with King Queen.
Call.
And he limps in for 300 over to John Dodge. Ace 7 offsuit.
I guess if Dodge were caught driving a Hyundai, he'd be the black sheep of the family.
Yeah, that'd be a bad thing. Richard Johnson folds over to Joseph Logadis. King 10.
I call.
He's going to call.
This is the mouth's fault. When you limp in under the gun, sometimes it's contagious.
Randy Lawrenson in the small blind with Trey Deuce. Half a limp.
Come on in, it's a party. Apparently there's no dress code.
That is Sean Lenning, the only professional handball player that I know of in the field. With Queen Jack, he checks his option.
5 players. Did you get player of the year points for seeing the flop?
Here is the flop. 10 King Jack. Logadis with kings up. Matusow hit a pair of kings with an up and down straight draw. Lenning with a pair of jacks and an up and down straight draw. Dodge has a gut shot. Lawrenson first to act, the only one who missed entirely.
What, Trey Deuce didn't hit that flop?
No, he checked. Lenning checks. Matusow with top pair, 1100.
Mike's got to really like his hand here.
Dodge folds.
More bad news for Detroit.
I raise.
Logadis with a raise. Now he has 2 pair.
3,300.
I get 3,300.
Well, that's going to make Mike Matusow like his hand a lot less.
Lawrenson and Lenning get out of the way. Back to the mouth now.
The mouth getting a good price here to call, and he's still drawn to the nut straight. But on day one, he's often reluctant to commit a lot of chips to a pot.
You got King Jack.
That's a pretty good read.
Mike gives it up.
The mouth wants to stay out of trouble.
Good fold. Good fold. You were beat.
Like Mike says, it's a marathon.
Logadis takes the small pot. Of course, every hand will not go Matusow's way, but this poker veteran knows how to navigate the minefield that is the main event.
I've had a shot to win the World Series 4 times in 8 years.
Don't let me get unlucky. One time, baby.
It's just pretty sad that I've been really unfortunate.
No!
Ain't no justice in poker.
I look at 01 and I blew it. I let Carlos bluff me out of the World Series. I look at 04 as the best call I ever made.
Please don't let it be wrong.
And he made a flush.
2 of diamonds, and that gives Greg Kramer the winning flush. Yes!
I look at 05 as no way I was ever folding kings to the guy that had the aces.
Lazar wins it. Yes!
Last year when I got broke, I ain't gonna lie, I mean, it hurt real bad because, you know, here I saw myself with, wow, I got another shot to win the World Series. I'm playing great, or they're gonna need to get real lucky to beat me.
Sorry, Mike, it's aces full.
And they did.
Disappointment again, his 4th deep run in the main event this decade.
I could win the main event if I play like I'm capable of playing. I'll make a run.
Nice. Back.
And it's a big deep run for me right now. After all those other deep runs would be pretty sweet.
Matusow and Dan Harrington, the only players to make 2 main event final tables this decade.
Mike brings his best to the big events. Back over to table 2, catch up on boxing champion Winky Wright. And though he was never knocked out as a pro boxer, he has been knocked out of the main event. He does graciously take a photo with his eliminator. And what a story he'll walk away with, having had the rare experience of sitting next to the ultimate poker champion, Doyle Brunson. Time now for our Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. We will conceal one player's whole cards. And Norman, put your thinking cap on. You and you at home have to figure out what they are playing. Doyle Brunson with ace-jack of hearts. And a raise to 675. There's James Keir, IT consultant from Charleston, South Carolina. He has the Jack Link's wild card hand.
Have you ever tried to crawl into the mind of an IT consultant? There's too much software in there.
Keir makes the call for 475.
I think he's got something pedestrian like King 8 suited.
All right, heads up with Doyle. Deuce, 4, king. Doyle misses. We know that much.
Well, I think Kier paired his king.
So he's going to bet, right? He checks.
Okay, if he had a king, he should have bet. So now I'm thinking he's just got queen 8 suited.
Doyle checks behind him.
And if Doyle had read Super System lately, he'd know to bet there and just take down the pot.
Turn card now. Tray of clubs. Doyle with a wheel draw now. Kier first to act. He does bet at 1,500.
Well, how did the 3 help him? I've still got him on rags, which means he is now trying to bluff Doyle Brunson. Doyle's thinking this guy's either slow played a big hand or he's got nothing.
Doyle thinks he's got nothing because he calls.
Well, I'm going to trust Doyle's read, and I'm now going to downgrade this guy to queen 7 off.
Another 4. Doyle left with ace-jack, and the 4's on board.
Well, the 4 doesn't change anything. Kier either has a bigger monster or he has a bigger nothing.
Bigger bet, though, 2,500.
I think he's got nothing. Who wouldn't want to go home with a story that you bluffed Doyle Brunson? Well, good luck, pal. If Doyle thought this guy had squadouche on the turn, he's still got squadouche on the river. So if I'm Doyle, I would close my eyes and call.
Eyes are open, but he does call.
You got me. Jack.
Kier with Jack 9. Doyle's ace is good.
We nailed him.
You really just tried to bluff Doyle Brunson? Really?
Would you have made that call at home? Hope you enjoy the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand.
I'm ready to go with Winky.
Not so fast, Doyle. Sure, he took a hit earlier, but Texas Dolly's off the canvas with lots of fight left.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back inside the Rio, there is a prize everyone is gunning for, the main event bracelet.
And there is something not as many people want.
I'm giving all of my table mates here a signed copy of my book, so in case anybody out there wants to know.
Wow, Barry Greenstein only does 1 at a time.
Before they bust me.
I guess Mike wants to try to jumpstart the sales.
Raise 300.
God gave that guy a wonderful voice. You can hear it for miles. Back to mouth.
Oh, okay.
Matusow can only hope his book sells a fraction of what Doyle Brunson's Super System has sold. Out in the field, Doyle's friend, one of the contributors to Super System, Mike Caro, also known as the mad genius of poker, is in a hand with Jason Helder.
I don't like the turn nearly as well. I'm going to bet whatever's there plus 100. So about 900.
That's simply mad genius.
Helder, wondering what he's up against, gives up the hand. And Mike shows 5-4 suited. Wow.
In my heart, I was hoping for aces. Because I had not looked.
Caro's Book of Tells was groundbreaking material when it came out. No doubt Mike had a read on his opponent. Now over to someone whose life story should be a book, Marlon Shirley. He lost his left foot in an accident as a child, but has never let that stop him from accomplishing things that some people only dream about. Right now being put to a decision as his opponent, Pat Bickley, bet $2,000 on the river.
I call.
Marlon makes the call. Bickley shows a pair of queens, and that's going to take the pot.
Oh my gosh.
I do not fear to fail, Marlon Shirley says. I only fear to not reach my true potential.
Marlon having a tough time today, but he's no stranger to overcoming adversity. He had to find that strength at a young age.
I was actually raised in Vegas as a child. About 3 years old, I was in a children's home playing on a lawnmower, and it ran over me, and that's how I lost my left foot. Well, I was an athlete all through high school. I played football, basketball, great soccer player. So I went to a track meet with a friend of mine. Did the high jump. Guy came up to me and he said, "Hey, you ever heard of the Paralympics?" And I said, "No." I was like, "Well, come down and compete and see what happens." I ended up breaking the world record in the high jump. But my biggest desire was to be the fastest in the world. So I trained 3 years very hard until I won my first gold in 2000, which I broke the world record as well. And since 2000, at any world championship event or Paralympic event, I hadn't lost that race in 10 years. The similarity between, I would say, track and poker is the competition side.
That don't count, he cheated.
I'm not looking to come here to the World Series of Poker and participate in an event and just be an athlete that wants to show up. I love poker, and I'm pretty good at poker. And I really want to make an impact, and I want to make it far.
If I lose this hand, I got the worst luck in the world.
I'm just glad that I can come back to this city and have nothing but great feelings and look for what's ahead of me.
He's a two-time Paralympic gold medalist, has set 3 track world records, and was named a role model of the 21st century by the United Nations.
Very impressive. Let's get back to our feature table, headlined by Mike the Mouth.
About time y'all start gambling around here. I thought I was the only one gambling.
Mike's got a gambling image, but he plays it snug.
Action will start on John Dodge, ace 8 of diamonds.
The Dodge family man actually never worked that much in the family business. He does a lot of his own investments.
He limps in for 300. Matusow now. Couple of red 7s.
The Mouth was in the family business.
Raise it.
He worked for his parents' carpet and furniture store here in Las Vegas.
Mike with a raise to 1,200. Back to Dodge.
Oh, my. You guys are always messing around down there.
You're the only guy I can beat.
Huh. We're going to have to change that right now.
Yeah, okay, good luck.
Dodge makes the call. Heads up now to the flop. The flop is 8 ace queen. Ace is up for John Dodge.
That flop did change things around.
And he checks it.
1,200.
Mike takes a stab.
Well, the Mouth was not going to put Dodge on an ace. Dodge had limped in pre-flop.
Well, gosh.
Golly gee.
What's a guy got to do around here to win a pot?
Put a lot in.
All right, there's 10,000.
Wow.
Oh, just 10,000?
Yep.
Mike's cards will be in the muck momentarily. 1, as I mentioned, he plays it snug, and 2, Dodge seems way too comfortable at the moment.
That's very, very nice hand for you.
Mike folds.
Nice hand, Mike.
The Mouth minimizes any further damage.
I was very shocked I did not win that hand on the flop, to be honest with you.
Day 1 is a doozy. Matusow trying to maintain his stack and keep the blow-ups in check. Next Tuesday, Daniel Negreanu, Phil Hellmuth, 2 of the most dynamic poker personalities in the game, begin their main event quest. And on November 10th, 9 players take center stage, but only one will walk away with the biggest prize in poker. Every Tuesday night at 8 and 9 p.m., the World Series of Poker on ESPN. Back at the Rio, let's take a look at how some recent main event champs did the year after they won. The best of the bunch was Fossil Man, who finished 25th in his title defense. Raymer in business right now, the 04 champ jousting with a 4th place finisher from 2007, Alex Kravchenko. Raymer bet 2,000 on the river.
I believe Kravchenko is listening to Kool and the Gang right now.
You can hear that? He calls. Raymer flips over trip 5s. That's going to be good to take this pot.
Funny glasses come off, chips come in.
Raymer doing pretty well right now. We find Chris Ferguson, the 2000 champ, who didn't cash the year after he won. He's flopped 2 pair, but Mike Sousa flopped a king high straight. He's now all in, but Ferguson's going to need help to knock him out. Turn card is an ace. That doesn't help.
Jesus will need a king or a 10 to knock out Sousa.
The river card is an 8, and Sousa wins the pot and will double up through Chris Ferguson.
Mike Sousa, a solid pro from San Diego. He has cashed in the last couple of main events. Chris Ferguson, of course, won it all 9 years ago when we were all 9 years younger.
Now the 03 champ, Chris Moneymaker, going up against Barry Cole with an ace-high rainbow flop. Moneymaker bet it. Cole put in a raise.
Oh, bro, it's not your day. It's just not your day.
Chris shows an ace. Moneymaker with a haggard look to him and few chips in front of him.
Yeah, people always playing back at the 03 champ, but sometimes it works out for him, as we'll see in this edition of Straight from the Pros, brought to you by PokerStars.net. In the 2007 main event, Joe Graziano had his sights set on Chris Moneymaker, but Moneymaker wasn't about to back down.
Pre-flop, he raises from middle position. I look down at ace queen of spades in the small blind, and I'll play a small pot with it, so I call the 1,300.
These two will go heads up to the flop. Moneymaker with aces up, Graziano with a pair of queens.
At this point, I'm willing to play a big pot, but I have no idea who this guy is. So I check the flop, he checks right behind. And when he checks behind, I'm almost guaranteed I know I'm ahead. The blank comes on the turn. I bet 2,500.
Well, I didn't say I had nothing.
When he calls, I know that he's probably got a weak ace, or maybe a queen king, a queen jack, somewhere in that range.
River card now is a 6.
River card is obviously not scary. So I just try to figure out a bet that he will call.
And Chris does fire 3,800.
I disguise the strength of my hand so he doesn't really know how strong I am. He gets stuck in a situation where he's calling off with not knowing where he is.
I got a call. I got top two. Top two's good.
That's the fortunate calls I get for being a World Series of Poker champion.
Chris has a total of 4 career World Series cashes, but since winning in 03, his best World Series finish is 10th in the 2004 $5,000 pot limit Omaha event. Let's get back to the feature table where Mike Matusow is keeping it friendly.
Everybody at this table is nice. I don't even dislike that. It's nobody. Joe. Let's dislike Joe.
Don't hate Joe. He used to be a poker dealer.
No, there's nobody at this table. Everybody's such a nice person at this table. Yeah, there is. I need to make some bad blood.
Well, there's some brewing rivalries here. Mike with John Dodge for one. Action on Dodge with Queen 7 offsuit. He limps in for 300.
What's he coming in for with Queen 7 off? Don't waste my time.
Ace-Jack for Joe Logadis.
There's no place for an ace. There's no place for the ace.
Oh, he raises to 900.
Nobody listens to me.
Folded to Matusow, King Queen.
I don't like King Queen. Heck, I don't like any hand.
Take up Scrabble.
Too many vowels.
Mike calls James Calderaro in the big blind, a former nightclub owner in Florida with Jack 8.
It's garbage.
He makes the call.
Why did he dump it? Oh, we're back to Queen 7?
Queen 7 dumps.
He came to his senses. So now I'm rooting for Dodge, and he's not even in the hand anymore.
3 players to the flop. Flop is 10-8 tray. Calderaro gets the best of it with a pair of 8s.
That really wasn't a main event caliber flop, though, Lon. Let's get a dealer change.
Matusow missed and checked. Calderaro checked. Logadis checks. All get to see a free turn card. Queen of clubs. Matusow pairs his queen, takes the lead. Calderaro adds a gut shot straight draw to his jacks. Logadis with a double gut shot straight draw. Mike checks.
Mike seems content to keep the pot small.
Calderaro also checked. Logadis on the draw. That's 1,500.
Logadis with the semi-bluff.
Mike with top pair calls. Calderaro doesn't like what he sees, and he folds.
Not much of a pot yet. Good fold by Calderaro.
Heads up. And there is a king. Logadis earns the check mark, hitting his straight, but that also gave Mike 2 pair.
What a card, and there will be some bad blood now for Mike.
Mike checks it.
2,500.
Logadis bets it.
Logadis value bets it. Mike's got a call here with top 2, but by checking on the river, he probably saved himself a bigger decision and some chips.
Mike does make the call.
I think I got lucky.
Yeah. Oh, Mike can't believe it.
Thinks he got lucky. Thinks he got lucky. Nice hand.
A nice hand indeed, and Joseph Logadis gets the best of Mike once again. You got rivered, Mike. Don't blame Joe. Deep breaths. There it is. Doyle's done it. The biggest name in the game of poker has proved that age is irrelevant. Back inside the Rio Poker Room, the living legend himself, Doyle Brunson, trying to get through day one.
He's Papa Brunson.
Yeah, the rest of the Brunson clan here as well. There's Todd.
He won a bracelet in 2005.
His sister Pam.
She cashed in the 07 main event.
And Brunson family friend, the mad genius Mike Caro, testing his reading skills right now in a hand against Rolf Slotboom post-flop aboard of Ace-8 Jack Rainbow.
Oh.
A queen on the turn.
A disaster for the mad genius. Check.
Oh, he refers to himself as the mad genius? He is a mad genius.
Slotboom bets.
I'm going to have to be thinking about this one long and hard.
He does look like a mad genius.
All right, so we'll see a river card. Deuce.
Check to you.
Well, who else would he be checking to? That's genius.
I guess I'm going to win then.
How does he know that? Set of 8s. That'll win it.
Good hand, though.
Doesn't the loser usually say good hand? It's genius.
Mike will take that pot. He has dedicated his life to the science and psychology of poker tells, and the man known as the Mad Genius literally wrote the book on the subject.
I wrote the Book of Tells, which tells you when players are bluffing and when they're not, and why. Fundamental theory behind poker tells is that when players are acting, They'll always act in a way that tries to convince you they're weak if they have a strong hand, and that they're strong if they have a weak hand. You know, I go around the world wherever anybody wants to hear seminars about poker. You'll see it every time, and if you're not seeing it all the time, you're not looking for it. People ask me, what's my background? And I tell them the truth. My education is self-inflicted. I used to be a guy who wanted to guard all these secrets. And then I realized that people were hungry for this, and I fed on that, and I wanted to be the guru. They call me the mad genius of poker, and I don't know why.
Caro has been known to tear up $100 bills while sitting at cash games to make players believe he didn't care about money.
All right, I surrender.
I have literally followed Caro for years and taped the bills back together so I can use them.
Why does that not surprise me, Norman Chad? We'll check in on Mike Caro a little bit later. Meanwhile, let's get back to our featured table where Mike Matusow is trying to control his temper and maybe control this table.
You're all right with me, John. You know that? You're all right with me. This guy, Joe, I'm gonna bust his for you.
It's been a struggle for Mike. He hasn't been busting anybody in 2009.
Action starts on Richard Johnson, a 46-year-old business owner from Locust Grove, Georgia, with ace-jack.
Johnson cashed at an earlier event at this World Series and used the money to buy into the main event.
He limps in for 300. Logadis gets out of the way, so Mike is free to play. Matusow looks down at Queen-Jack of spades.
Matusow had a great 2008, cashed in half of the tournaments he played, but 2009 has been dry.
Mike limped as well. Calderaro, 8-6 of diamonds.
Calderaro used to own a nightclub I don't think I would have been allowed into.
He limps in. Norman, you said it. Limping is contagious. Menino in the small blind, king 10.
Put him on the board. He's in.
Yeah, 150, a half limp. Dodge now. Ooh, seems to have an alignment problem with his whole cards. He's got an ace.
What's he got, half a wild card hand?
He checks his option. 5 to the flop again. 6, tray 9, all spades. Matusow hits the queen high flush. Johnson with a nut flush draw. Menino checks.
Check on.
Dodge checks. Now Johnson.
700. 700.
He's going to bet it.
Yeah, with the ace of spades, Johnson can make that bet pretty comfortably.
Now Matusow with a made queen high flush. He's going to bump it up to 2,200.
The mouth pounces.
Calderaro, Menino fold, Dodge. Well, he'll get out of the way.
I'm all in. All in.
Wow. Johnson pushes on the draw.
The tightest player just moved all in on me. I flopped the second nut flush. How strong is that?
Mike actually has the third nut flush and would be in great position here to win a big pot.
How sick is this?
This would be for most of the mouth's chip stack.
Can I really fold this hand?
I either double up through Mike Matusow or I get eliminated by Mike.
And I got a speech, too.
Well, Mike was the one giving a speech. Mike flopped a queen-high flush. Not much can beat it. But if Johnson has an ace or king-high flush, the mouth would be drawn dead to a straight flush.
The biggest laydown I made in my whole entire life if I lay this down.
It would be an incredibly disciplined laydown. Again, Mike just wants to play small pot poker and stay out of harm's way. And keep in mind, Johnson still could beat Mike if another spade hits the board, but the reality is the mouth is a 2-to-1 favorite here if he calls.
Why would he move in there? He's got the ace-high flush. Why would he move in?
I agree with Mike. If Johnson flopped the nuts, he probably wouldn't push. He'd try to trap and get more chips later. But how do you lay this down?
All right, buddy, take it.
Wow, what a difficult laydown. It's that type of discipline that helps him go deep in the main event, but it was the wrong laydown here.
I don't know how big a laydown that is, man. I have to be 100% sure.
Mike, leaving nothing to chance, waits to fight another time.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back inside the Rio, and the second of 4 day ones of the main event. Marlon Shirley is in good shape right now to double up. He flopped 2 pair against the pocket jacks of Kenny Gilman. Waiting for the turn card. It is a king of clubs. No help to Gilman.
So Marlon Shirley now will need to dodge a 3 king or jack on the river to avoid elimination.
And the river card. is a 4 of clubs, so Shirley will win it with 9s and 8s and double up.
Shirley hanging tough. Besides his Paralympic gold medals at 100 meters, he has a silver medal at 200 meters and in the high jump.
Little by little. Just feels good to win one, you know?
And we know he's good in a sprint, but remember Matusow's advice, Marlon, the main event is a marathon. Let's take a look at our tournament ticker. The last of the 57 bracelets will be awarded in November. A World Series record was set for number of participants, and over a third of all the prize money will be awarded in the main event. There's Chris Moneymaker. He's all in with pocket 10s against the aces of Joe Valachi.
Greg Raymer lending his support to Mr. Moneymaker.
Feel the love. Come on, everyone. 10. 10.
Come on, 8 on
10.
the turn. Come on.
At least an 8 or a jack. At least an 8 or a jack.
All right, turn card's a 6. Moneymaker with a gut shot straight draw.
Well, Chris now needs an 8 or a 10 to stay alive and stop Fossil Man from massaging him.
River card is a queen, and that will end Chris Moneymaker's day.
Good job, guys.
Chris only plays a few World Series events a year, and for a guy who's been so important to poker, here's hoping he wins another.
And the day 1 elimination walk, well, it's unfortunately becoming all too familiar to Chris Moneymaker. All right, back to our featured table where Mike Matusow has been struggling with this group of players.
Richard, would you have felt guilty if you'd have busted me that hand?
No.
No.
Frankly, he doesn't look like he would have felt guilty.
All right, action begins here on John Dodge. Looks down at ace-9 offsuit. Blinds at 150 and 300. And a 25-chip ante from each player, and Dodge will limp in again.
I like Mr. Dodge, but he's got to stop limping in with an ace. Raise it like you mean it.
Johnson with queen 8 off. Lays it down.
You know, the first 8 times Mike Matusow cashed the World Series, he made the final table and won 2 bracelets.
Mike Matusow now looks down at 5-4 of clubs, and he will call with those cards. Big blind Calderero, 10-9.
See, I figured Calderero owned one of those nightclubs where some guy stands out front and only lets you in if you're cool looking. What were my chances?
He checks his option. 3 to the flop. Trey, ace-8. Dodge with top pair. Calderero got nothing. Matusow has a wheel draw. Action on Mike. He checks. Calderero checks.
See, if Dodge had raised pre-flop, we wouldn't even have seen a flop. Now, he hit his ace, so it's a good flop for him, but he should have ended matters earlier.
He bets 1,200 with his aces. Mike is going to raise it to 3,150. Calderero folds immediately.
Well, this is the first time today we have seen the mouth shift gears. Again, I think the mouth was thrown off by Dodge limping in. He doesn't put Dodge on an ace.
Dodge with top pair makes the call. Turn card is a Trey, pairs the board. Dodge still best with aces up. Now Mike.
Well, looks like Mike wants to posture further.
Wow.
51.
And he does. He's waking up. 5,100 chips.
On a bluff, that is most of the mouth's chips. I'm not sure if this is a Mike Matusow blow-up in progress or if the mouth is outplaying the amateur after the flop. It feels like a blow-up.
I like it too much in here, Mike, right now. I'm enjoying it too much.
Dodge folds.
The mouth scallywags the man from Dodge.
I had to check it down with it for you.
I had ace-8. What do you want me to do?
That's what I put you on, was ace-8. I had ace-9. You had 2 pairs.
Mike gets addicted to those type of bluffs, and it often leads to his demise.
But Mike does pad his stack a bit right there. Let's go over to table 2. Doyle Brunson looks like he's in great shape to double up if he can get some action. He flopped a set against Daniel Didich. Action on Didich. And now Daniel bets enough to put Doyle all in. Doyle makes the call. Doyle with the set, Didich with a double gut shot straight draw.
The big stack tried to push around the little stack on a semi-bluff, but Texas Dolly is holding.
Save this.
Doyle will be at risk here, but he is a 3-1 favorite against that double belly buster straight draw.
And now the turn card. And Didich hits his straight to take the lead.
Boy, that will suck the spirit out of Texas Dolly. And now the man who wrote Super System in position to be knocked out by the man who read Super System. Doyle Brunson's going to need the board to pair or his main event will be over.
And the river card is an ace.
Okay, guys.
Didich wins the hand and eliminates Doyle Brunson.
Doyle is done, but at least his kids, Todd and Pam, are still around here on day 1.
Good luck.
Doyle has said he regrets releasing the original Super System.
Well, his advice may have helped do him in there.
Dittich with the biggest feather in his cap as the legend Doyle Brunson will walk off into the sunset as his run in the 2009 main event has come to an end.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Get official items for your home poker game at WSOP.com.
Doyle Brunson makes his way out of the Rio. News spreading quickly throughout this poker room about his elimination. Got to his daughter Pam, of course.
That's what my dad said about getting out of the World Series. Can y'all read that? I'm freaking out again. Some guy went nuts with the gut shot against my hidden trips. All the money went in on the flop. Jeez. That's my dad on Twitter. Y'all follow him?
I'm on Twitter. I have 2 followers, 3 on weekends.
We look forward to seeing Doyle next year.
I hope he's not tweeting and driving at the same time.
Back to action now. Doyle's friend Mike Carroll currently in a hand with Katie Hearn, a London television producer. River card is out. And a bet of $2,500 from Hearn.
He is the mad genius of poker, Lon. Who is she?
Like called, she's the one with the ace, and she's the one with the pot. So a slight stumble for Mike Carroll.
Very good. Had a terrible read on this.
How does the mad genius have a bad read?
You know what my most obscure book is called? This is true. It's out of print. Look it up on the web. It's called Poker for Women.
She looks very interested.
A course in destroying male opponents. No, a course in destroying male opponents at poker and beyond. And beyond. Have you read it?
Oh, she's read that book. And I'm a cosmonaut.
Meanwhile, Marlon Shirley pushed all in on a flop of 6-6 ace. Jonas Lohman holds his immediate future in his hands. Lohman makes the call. Shirley turns over a club flush draw. Lohman with trip sixes.
So Shirley well behind, all in with that flush draw, but he has run into Lohman's trips.
All right, now the turn card. King of clubs, Shirley hits his flush.
Big card for Marlon Shirley. If he can avoid the board pairing or a 5, he will double up.
Now the river card, and oh, there's another king. Lohman wins it with a full house and knocks out Shirley.
So the end of the day for the Paralympic superstar. He's got a lot more control over stuff out there on the track than he does here on the felt. Marlon Shirley feels the sting of the river card.
So the gold medalists will take the reluctant walk out of the poker room, getting knocked out well short of the finish line. There is poker's ultimate prize, a main event bracelet to be awarded to one of our November 9.
On the grind again. Just can't wait to get on the grind again. Grinding, laying down queen high flushes, cause I'm nuts.
Mike's still steaming about having to lay down a queen high flush against Richard Johnson.
Johnson won't play here. Matusow now on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky pocket cam.
Beef jerky.
King queen again. He is a king queen magnet. He limps in again.
There's too much limping going on. This is the feature table of the main event. Play like it's the big time. Bright lights, big city.
Jack 9 offsuit belonged to Brian Kerr. And he limps in.
I don't even know this guy, and he's limping in. He's already on my list.
We know Menino likes to limp.
Yeah, he's in the small blind. You think he's going to raise with a suited ace?
He does limp. Now dodge.
Oh, here is the mad genius of limping. What do you think he's going to do?
9-6 off. Of course he checks the option. He's got 9-6. All right, only 4 players to the flop this time. It is king 9-6. Dodge finds 2 pair in there. Matusow a top pair of kings.
I'll tell you, Dodge and Matusow cannot get out of each other's shadow.
Menino missed the flop and he checks. Dodge with 2 pair 9s and 6s. And he bets 700. Now Matusow.
Raise.
Gonna raise with top pair.
Mike announces a raise.
I think he likes playing with Dodge. Makes it 2,500.
The mouth keeps raising Dodge on the flop when Dodge is holding the better hand. And Matusow is on a slippery slope here.
Kerr laid it down. Menino folds.
Raise.
And a re-raise from Dodge.
It's another oops for Mike.
Dodge is going to make it 6,500 total.
This is another test of Mike's discipline. He's been re-raised. He's way behind. Let's see if he can make the laydown.
Mike re-raises to 13-7, and that's about all Dodge has left.
And Matusow's getting low on chips.
I don't know why, Mike. You're just needing me out, I guess.
Mike's decided to dig in and abandon his day one small pot MO. He's committed to the pot.
So is Dodge. He makes the call.
Dodge actually has one green 25 chip left in front of him. Matusow just 2 cards away from a blow-up.
Turn card. A 10 gives Matusow a gut shot and a chance for a higher 2 pair.
I'm all in.
So
Put you all in.
all of Dodge's chips are in the middle. Mike shows top pair.
Yeah, you damn king.
And that's not going to be good enough. Dodge shows his 2 pair.
Come on, little one, please.
I wasn't folding that 6-9 king rainbow to him. I don't give a
Diamond, 6 of
Jack
clubs,
queen, Jack queen king or 10.
Come on, little. I need that pot. I need that pot.
One time, put me back in this tournament.
If Matusow loses this, he will be short-stacked. He can knock out John Dodge with a 10, Jack, Queen, or King.
It's a jack!
That's what I'm talking about!
Mike hit it!
Yeah! Now I'm back in it. Yeah!
The mouth gets lucky, and John Dodge is silenced.
And eliminated from this main event.
Sorry, John. Good playing with you, man.
Yeah, man.
Don't forget my book. Enjoy it.
I believe that book will be available at John Dodge's next garage sale.
Yeah!
Mike fought like a champ today. John Dodge had Mike just where he wanted him, painted Matusow into a corner, but Mike able to get his one time and boost his confidence, keeping his hopes alive to capture the most coveted bracelet in poker. Tonight, many of poker's biggest stars take their first step towards the game's ultimate prize, including 2 at the center of the poker universe. For Daniel Negreanu, the main event has been more heartache than joy.
You got me, buddy.
In his career, Daniel has only cashed twice in the big one.
I want to rebuy so bad you have no idea.
But as usual, his sights are set much higher.
My goal for the main event of the World Series is never to just last. What do you think I got? My goal is always just to win. I'm all in. Let's get this done.
Then there's Phil Hellmuth. The '89 champion took the 2008 main event by storm.
What do you think I have, boys?
With his play.
I'm all in.
And with his mouth.
Idiot from Northern Europe.
Idiot.
You are an idiot.
What will he do this year?
There's probably going to be talking to myself. How do these players even last this long? There's probably going to be some frustration.
Can't believe this.
Maybe I'll do something crazy and win it.
Yes! Yes! 2 of the game's greats. 1 goal. Their main event journey begins now.
Yeah, baby. To you, it's poker, man. To me, this is my life.
Welcome to the 40th Annual World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. I'm Lon McCarran with Norman Chad. It's day 1 all over again for a whole new cast of characters.
The World Series of Poker on ESPN.
Big names have come to the Rio for this 3rd of 4 day 1 main event sessions.
Good luck, boy.
Including those who made a name for themselves last November.
Hi, Mom.
6 of the November 9 begin their quest to make it back to the final table, among them Dennis Phillips.
Brought a couple of friends again, just for the heck of it.
And no, you're not seeing double. He has once again brought his doppelganger entourage. But while Phillips' entourage is impressive, leave it to Phil Hellmuth to raise the stakes. All hail the poker brat who was making his usual grand entrance.
God save us.
Hail! He'll play at table 2, but at the center of poker's version of Circus Maximus is Daniel Negreanu. He is seated and ready to go at our featured table.
The main event not kind to Daniel. In the last 6 years, he's been knocked out on day 1 3 times.
What am I gonna do about these sinuses? It's brutal. All of a sudden, I've been not sick the whole World Series, and all of a sudden just got bleh.
Well, catching something's bound to happen with 60,000 entrants playing the 57 events, including nearly 6,500 for this main event alone. Let's see if Daniel can shrug it off. Action begins on Jeff Bryan and on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky Pocket Cam.
I'm gonna play this one different.
He has Queen 10 of diamonds, and he limps in for 100. Next in line is Jeff Allen D'Ambrosia. He has pocket 9s, and he calls for 100. Action folded around to Daniel Negreanu, 4-time bracelet winner with 5 tray offsuit.
Even with his bad sinuses, Daniel recognizes those small cards he loves.
He's on the button and a raise to 900. Next to him, young Jin Lee with ace-5 in the small blind.
Hi.
Daniel always friendly with his neighbors.
You wanted to play, huh? Too expensive?
Lee folded. Brian folds.
Somebody's got to have a little courage. Got to have a little courage, right?
Yeah, exactly.
D'Ambrosia actually has the raising hand.
He calls and will go heads up with Daniel. flop is Trey 10-5. Negreanu hits 2 pair.
Check. I never flop 2 pair when I have bad sinuses.
12. Daniel bets 1,200. D'Ambrosia thinks his 9s are good. He calls.
D'Ambrosia has clear sinuses, but he's behind.
Turn card is a 4 of hearts.
Check.
22.
Daniel's going to make him pay to see the river.
D'Ambrosia not so sure now.
I don't want to play a big pot against you for it. That's not all that bright.
Maybe you got a good hand.
I do have a good hand.
You have a so-so hand.
You didn't make it like 500, 600. You made it 900. That was a lot.
Yeah. I wish you only knew why. Oh my goodness. This hand wasn't very good to start.
Daniel did raise pre-flop 9 times the big blind with 5-3 off.
I give it up.
But it got better after that board came out.
D'Ambrosia lays it down.
Yay, yay.
I had it.
He might be feeling under the weather, but Daniel would like nothing more than to rise to the main event occasion.
Norman, Daniel Negreanu, and Phil Hellmuth are 2 of poker's brightest stars, but the fact that one has arrived in a typically unassuming way while the other is still making his usual over-the-top entrance simply underscores one of the many differences between the two.
Here is difference number 1. Daniel brings positive energy to the poker table. Phil brings not so positive energy. Here is difference number 2. Daniel struggles in the main event. Phil usually shines. And here is difference number 3. Daniel has never worn a loincloth to the main event.
Well, this is something special, Norman. This perhaps is the most bizarre scene I have ever witnessed in my career.
If Tom Brady came to the Super Bowl this way, the NFL would shut down, but we embrace this. All hail Emperor Lunatic.
Well, lately the only poker player to rival Hellmuth's celebrity is that of Annie Duke, who recently finished 2nd on The Celebrity Apprentice. She's in a hand right now with 05 runner-up Steve Dannenman, who just pushed all in.
And he's got that boardroom frustration look to her.
And Annie will lay it down to Steve. And he graciously shows ace-queen for a full house.
Annie's thinking first Donald Trump in the boardroom, now Steve Dannenman in the card room.
She does too much good in the world. I don't want to be that guy.
Now, Steve was almost the guy, if not for this guy, Joe Hashem, the 05 champ, who's right now in a hand with Hungarian poker pro Victoria Silashi.
Got you a smile.
Joe always gets me to smile, and he smells so good.
6,000.
Smiles and he raises to 6,000. Action on Silashi, who was a BBC journalist before turning pro, and she's going to lay it down to Joe.
I wasn't going to show, so I'm not.
Hashem trying to kill him with kindness. That's a Daniel Negreanu trick.
Joe Hashem, a champion who handles himself with dignity and grace. And then there's Phil Hellmuth.
There should be a gaming regulation against this, or just some common sense law.
Phil has entered the Rio poker room, and the fans cannot believe what they are seeing.
He does look a little like Kirk Douglas and Spartacus.
Can you imagine Puggy Pearson doing something like this? Oh, my goodness. Phil's fellow pro Tony Cousineau getting some blackmail material.
Actually, doesn't Spartacus bleed to death at the end of that film?
I am in my seat, right?
I thought you had to be in your seat or your hand is dead. Spartacus plays by different rules.
Is this my first hand?
Phil's going to play it. Ace, 8 of spades. And he'll limp in for 100. Now Ottavio Tassone. Jack 10.
Raise it up.
Makes it 300.
You know what you're doing, sir?
I don't know what I'm doing. I mean,
not you, the Razor.
The Razor is a Canadian home builder, and he has decided to take on Spartacus, or Hellmuthicus.
All right.
Phil's going to call. We'll see a flop. Flop is Trey 6-5.
Check it.
Phil's ahead.
I guarantee if he bets, Hellmuthicus will fold.
He does bet 650.
I think you're bluffing, but I'm going to let you go this time.
Thank you, sir.
Quite a gesture from Poker Spratis.
Now I'm going to have to start check raising and playing the game.
Phil Hellmuth has arrived.
Let the games begin. That's right.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Sign up for the official WSOP e-newsletter at WSOP.com and FullTiltPoker.net. Learn, chat, and play with the pros. The World Series of Poker presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Player of the Year.
The 2009 bracelet season ended with a bang. David Bach took down the prestigious 50K Horse World Championship, and Greg Mueller became the 4th person to win 2 bracelets this year. Yet all accomplishments were overshadowed by one man who did something only 4 other people have ever done. Jeffrey Lisandro pulled off a trifecta.
Jeffrey, you got it, buddy.
He made history by joining Phil Hellmuth, Ted Forrest, Puggy Pearson, and Phil Ivey as the only players to win 3 World Series of Poker bracelets in 1 year. Once considered one of the greatest players to have never won a bracelet, Lisandro can now simply be called one of the greatest. Lisandro sitting on top of the Player of the Year leaderboard, but it's not over yet. The only player who can still catch him is Willy Walbeck, but he would have to be one of the November 9 to even have a chance. Lisandro trying to win a 4th bracelet this year. Back in action and stirring things up, he called the all-in of Stefano Del Beato, and he raised Danilo De Torres all-in one bold maneuver.
Lisandro has a home in Salerno, Italy. De Torres and Del Beato are Italian. I think there are 3 coins in a fountain right behind this table.
De Torres moved all in. Lisandro trying to knock 2 players out, shows pocket aces. De Torres flopped 2 pair. Del Beato flopped a set of queens.
Lisandro's pocket aces were out flopped, and De Torres now in miserable shape with queens up.
All right, big hand. Let's go to the turn. Turn card is Jack of Hearts. Del Beato still leads. It's all over for De Torres. Lisandro with a straight flush draw.
If Lisandro hits an ace, king, or a heart, 2 players would be gone.
It is a king. Lisandro comes from behind to win the hand and knock 2 opponents out.
Hey, pal, you're gone early from the main event, but at least you were knocked out by the hottest player here at the World Series.
And looks like they're getting a consolation prize.
I'm sorry. Did Mike Tyson used to pose for a photo with the guys he knocked out in the 1st round?
This one for the Italian magazine. Sorry, boys. Bye-bye.
Well, that would be Jeffrey's 4th bracelet of this World Series if he can take down the main event. Back at our featured table, they are still buzzing about Phil Hellmuth's entrance.
Yeah, I got chills.
He's really wearing a toga.
Yeah, he's wearing a toga. He loves to show us his nipples. If you watch ESPN a lot, you notice there's a lot of nipple shots of Phil Hellmuth. He's either meditating with his tiny nipples or he's doing something. Always naked.
We've been showing Hellmuth naked and haven't run afoul of FCC regulations?
I think Daniel's getting worse by the minute.
I would recommend Puffs Plus.
Action does fold around to Negreanu, and he looks down at pocket aces.
Pocket aces usually clear the nasal passages.
Daniel in the small blind with a min raise. Action on young Jin Lee in the big blind. Jack 7 of clubs. And he calls.
I really don't understand the min raise of 100. When Daniel's feeling better, I'll ask him to explain it to me.
A flop and trip 7s for Lee to take the lead. Daniel first to act.
Daniel, of course, aces up. Dangerous waters for him.
225. And now the 23-year-old South Korean student. Flat calls. 8 of hearts on the turn. 7's full check now for Lee. Check, check.
Lee constructing a big trap for Daniel.
A tray on the river. Check mark for Lee.
800.
Check from Daniel. 800 from Lee.
A pot-sized bet, and Daniel is exasperated.
It's so weird. I had such a big hand. You have no idea. Biggest hand you can get.
Negreanu telling Lee, you're trying to crack aces.
And now you're betting 800?
This is where Hellmuth stands up and rants. Daniel handles it differently.
This sucks. Setting them all up. I had the big hand and bleh.
Norman Daniel seems to know right where he stands here, though.
All right, I'll let you bluff me.
Daniel folds. It's not a bluff. Lee shows.
That was good. Oh, well. So much for that hand.
Daniel's World Series has had some ups, but mostly downs, especially when it came to a challenge he and his friend Eric Lindgren made to the poker world.
Well, my buddy Eric Lindgren decided one day, let's challenge the whole world to the Player of the Year race.
You could pick any partner you wanted, except for Phil Ivey. Barry Greenstein was the first to come to us, and he picked Jeff Lisandro. Good pick.
But we got a whole bunch more bet against other people. What's up? First couple weeks, I was on a roll. I mean, I was just boom, boom, boom. We had a nice big lead. Yeah, baby! Oh, I love this game. I'm having so much fun. Eric still hadn't gotten out of the gate, but he was, cashing here and there. And then all of a sudden, I kind of went a little ice cold, and Eric stayed ice cold.
I'd like to say it was fun, but I'd be lying.
All the bets are on shaky ground.
If you talk to Daniel, he will say that I was his downfall, and he'd be right.
He hasn't had a great year.
All told, if we lost all the bets, we would have a $1 million losing summer.
I'm a good supportive partner. I've never yelled at him.
He's trying to say like the nice things.
I've never made fun of him.
But I know what he really thinks.
Dude, what are you doing?
You suck, Lindgren. You suck. I feel terrible.
Me and Eric, we'll go down with the ship, okay? We're gonna lose some money this year, but next year, the offer's out there, world. Any two people you want, except for Phil Ivey. Player of the Year points. Me and Eric.
Daniel actually had a pretty good World Series, 8 cashes, 2 final tables. Eric, meanwhile, had just 4 small cashes.
Let's take a look at the main event chip colors and their denominations. Each player starts with 30,000 chips, which is 10,000 more than last year. And a lot of players like those extra chips. Phil Hellmuth in action at table 2, and he's traded in his toga for more traditional togs. In a hand with Mark Davis right now, poker pro from Orlando. Both flopped an ace. Phil's jack kicker is best.
Hellmuthicus is simply the poker brat again.
Turn card is a 4, no help to Davis.
This year's the 20th anniversary of Phil winning the main event.
Better bet 900.
Phil's going to bet 900 with his better ace. Davis makes a call. River card is a 6 that pairs the board. 4th diamond on board. Hellmuth checks. 2,100 from Davis.
Hellmuth showed weakness. Davis shows strength. Let's see if Phil can realize he still has the better hand.
See Hellmuth with the check mark. And he lays down the best hand.
Oh, please show it to him. Please.
Show this one.
Wow. You were value betting or what?
No, I had to turn my hand into a bluff, Phil. You know, I learned from the best. I read your book first, you know. Play poker like the pros, as they say, right?
Uh-oh, Phil might ignite.
Good play.
Huh,
Good play.
Nothing.
The real Caesar would have fed Davis to the Lions.
Put your seatbelts on, ladies and gentlemen. Turbulence is coming.
Welcome back to the Rio, where Mike the Mouth Matusow has come to the rail to cheer on his buddy, Phil Hellmuth.
If I have to outplay him, I'm going to outplay him.
When two of the biggest talkers talk to each other, does either one listen to the other?
I was sitting at
Mike fought through his first day successfully, finishing with almost 38,000 chips.
I'm about to win another pot.
Ottavio Tassone will try to have something to say about that. Pocket 4s. And he will call for 200. Over to Tony Cousineau. Cousineau with ace-9.
Cousineau holds the record for most World Series cashes without a bracelet, 41. Of course, Phil Hellmuth holds the record for most World Series cashes, 74, and bracelets, 11.
Cousineau makes the call. Next in line, Dennis Cronin, an electrical lineman from Pennsylvania.
Electrical lineman, yet another job I can't do.
With ace-10, Cronin's going to raise it up to 1,000. Phil in the big blind with jack-8 of hearts.
You raise?
Cronin learned to play poker after breaking his neck. Now he's in a hand with a pain in the neck, Phil Hellmuth.
Phil calls. Tassone puts in 800 more to call. Cousineau folds his ace-9.
Well, this is a new Phil Hellmuth. He normally would muck that hand in a heartbeat with a big raise in front of him.
10-7-9. Phil looks excited, and why not? He hit the straight. Cronin with top pair, top kicker.
4,000?
A bet of 4,000.
I better raise it up a little.
Phil moves all in.
I'm all in.
Day 1.
I guess Hellmuth doesn't want any action.
See you later, Mike.
He's gone all in with the nuts on the flop, and he acts like he does have a big hand.
He got Tassone to fold, and so does Cronin.
See you later, Mike. This time I called the race with jack-8, but it came a 7, a 9, and a 10.
Phil, you're off to a good start, it looks like. Okay, I was just checking on you. Enjoy.
Matusow and Hellmuth made deep runs last year, but that man almost won the main event. Third place finisher Dennis Phillips playing today with a scaled-down entourage. He's again brought the truck horn, which lets everyone know when Dennis drags a pot.
Dennis says he now plays better poker than he did when he made the November 9.
Dennis put out a bet, and he gets his opponent to fold, much to the delight of his Philippians on the rail, as they are known.
Oh, jeez.
It's going to get me eventually.
It got me already.
Just a matter of time.
I didn't hear it, too.
Wait till he gets it fully charged.
Oh, boy, I can't wait for that.
David Tucker is the man on the horn for Dennis. Group support seems to be a trend here at the Rio, from the Phillips supporters to people rooting on a friend, colleague, or member of their home game. Then there are those wearing the Playing for Pruitt t-shirts. They're all here in support of this man, Frankie Gay, who has come to the main event this year to honor someone who will always be in his heart.
My son's named Pruitt, and I'm here today because of him. He was in a 14-month tour of Afghanistan with the U.S. Army Airborne, the 173rd. In his outpost, there was 11, and all 11 of them played the poker every night. He would call me and tell me about his hands. That was his out while being over there. That was our connection. And he said, when I get home, we'll go play the World Series of Poker. But then he got a call. His new orders was to stay another month. July 13, 2008. The Taliban outran their outpost. 9 of them were killed, and he was one of them. You know, the call came, and I was hoping it was him, but it wasn't. We were coming to the World Series of Poker, and we didn't make it, so I'm here today to play for him. Just getting here is special to me. He's a great son. I know that he would do good, and I'm playing through Pruitt, and that's the only thing that matters.
Frankie says that many of the troops follow the World Series while deployed, and he wants them all to know how much their sacrifices mean to the poker players. Frankie in a hand right now with Tommy who just bet $1,700 on the river with the board showing 2 pair and a king.
Frankie is trying to put together a charity tournament for troops to honor his son Pruitt.
Frankie makes the call of $1,700, turns over pocket tens, and who says that is good enough to take the pot?
Pruitt was honored for saving 2 soldiers' lives before he died in Afghanistan.
Frankie with that pot now over the 30,000 chip starting stack. Let's get back to our feature table. Daniel's health is in decline along with his chip stack.
Anybody bring a box of tissues with them? You did? I'll take a couple if you don't mind.
What are the odds that the guy sitting next to Daniel has a box of tissues? I wish the guy sitting next to Phil Hellmuth had a polo mallet.
All right, action on Daniel Negreanu at this featured table. Ace-Jack.
Actually, I've got some Afrin and Benadryl and Sudafed and Sinutab if he wants.
Daniel with another min raise.
Well, I don't think a guy should play an ace with a sinus infection. Your judgment's just off.
Jeff Bryan in the small blind. Queen 6 of diamonds. He makes the call. Now over to Jeff Allen D'Ambrosia in the big blind. Ace 5 of hearts.
Well, he's got a worse ace than Daniel, but his sinuses are clear. Advantage to D'Ambrosia.
3 players to the flop, one of them pretty sick. Ace 9 tray, a pair of aces for Negreanu and D'Ambrosia. Daniel with a better kicker that pretty much missed Bryan. And he checks.
Not bad. 400.
400 from D'Ambrosia.
Call.
Daniel with his better kicker calls. Jeff Bryan folds.
He's behind, but I've got to favor the healthier man.
Turn card is a king. Negreanu still ahead. D'Ambrosia to act first.
800.
800. He bets.
If we had a whole card cam inside of Daniel's head right now, it wouldn't be a pretty sight.
Daniel makes the call. And these two will see a river card. 10 of diamonds. Negreanu earns the check mark with the better kicker.
Check.
A check from D'Ambrosia. Daniel makes it 1,500.
I shouldn't have doubted Daniel. His judgment is not congested.
You have a flush draw or something?
Yeah, sure.
I put you on a flush draw. I figured maybe.
No, you didn't.
No, I really did.
You know I didn't have a flush draw.
I did. That part's true. Now I think you have an ace.
You think?
Yeah. What a genius read that is, huh?
It's good for TV. I call you.
He does call.
I got ace-jack.
That beats ace 5.
And winning that hand should make Daniel Negreanu feel a little better.
Thank you.
A pot of tea is what Daniel really needs, but winning that pot won't hurt one bit.
Yay me.
The World Series of Poker Main Event.
Welcome back to the Rio at the featured table. Though under the weather, Daniel Negreanu's probably feeling a little better after turning trip 9s, but he'd feel a little sicker knowing that Barry Wiedemann also has trip 9s with a jack kicker to Daniel's 8 kicker. Wiedemann checks the turn.
To prepare for the main event, Daniel likes to take a 3 or 4 day break playing golf. Then he watches Rocky.
Daniel bets about half the pot, 450.
Wiedemann attended Florida State where he studied broadcast meteorology. Please. Weekend TV weatherman has got to be an easier job than poker commentator.
He makes a raise to 1100.
Guess I could have checked.
Daniel calls. He's not going anywhere.
Yep, that check raise set off alarms in Daniel's clogged head.
River card. Oh, it's an 8. Negreanu. River's a full boat. Gets the check mark.
See, Daniel didn't need to study broadcast meteorology to get lucky on the river.
Wiedemann checks. Daniel makes it 2,500.
With that bet, the storm clouds are approaching for Wiedemann.
Talk about alarms going off.
Guess you could have checked, huh?
Yeah.
Wiedemann doesn't like it.
But he calls anyway. Yeah, that's a full house. Negreanu plays the river rat.
Gee, I had a feeling that was I mean, I thought you had another kick.
Wiedemann wishes he were still tracking afternoon showers, and Daniel gets a little healthier.
Yeah, thanks to that river card. Norman, did you know that Daniel was asked to be on the Survivor TV show? He didn't want to miss the World Series that year, so he turned it down, and in his place went this man, Jean-Robert Ballon.
Why can't Hellmuth go strand himself on a desert island?
But Ballon's not the most famous reality show star in the room. That, of course, would be Annie Duke, who made a splash with her Celebrity Apprentice appearance. Annie's all in against Keith Lear.
Annie finished second to Joan Rivers on Celebrity Apprentice.
Oh, please call.
She should have won. She got robbed in broad daylight on prime time.
Well, Lear folds here, and she does win that hand.
It was like watching a Celtics game when they get all the calls. Annie was ripped off.
Annie tried to sell that call to no avail. She did show off her good sales skills in Celebrity Apprentice, but Annie would tell you it was her finely tuned poker skills that helped her the most.
The Celebrity Apprentice is a game like any other game. And I came up with a strategy pretty quickly. You have to have a lot of confidence. It was very important to keep your ears open and not get your emotions involved. Because that's what I do at the poker table. A good poker player is an extremely good observer. I'm gonna say that objection. Now you guys can overrule me. And so that's what I was. I was a really good observer. The personal attacks interest me. I think that the boardroom is tenser for other people than it was for me. They'd be throwing each other under the bus. And I would just stay calm in the storm of what was going on around me.
Annie was just cool as a cucumber.
That's a poker skill. It comes from understanding that when people are trying to put you on tilt, that the only way to hand them any power is to actually go on tilt.
She plays us like a deck of cards.
I went into that finale pretty sure that Joan was gonna win. And then all of a sudden he looks at me, he's like,
Annie, you know what I'm going to say?
and what's always followed of that is hired.
You're fired.
The finale of Celebrity Apprentice. Donald Trump slow rolls me. I was like, are you serious? All right, you go.
On Celebrity Apprentice, Annie was told that poker players are trash. Maybe so, but at least we're loyal, honest, and look pretty good in a Roman toga.
In spite of all the abuse, Annie did raise $730,000 for Refugees International. Her brother, Howard Lederer, right there, helped with the donation. And it looks like Howard is still in a charitable mood as he fattens the chip stack of his opponent. Howard's tens, losing to jacks. Back to another player who holds a good cause near to his heart, Frankie Gay, in a hand against Neil Channing. They're on the river with a dangerous board. Frankie bets $2,800. Channing comes over the top, all in. Frankie makes the call. Channing shows a nut flush. Gay, the second nut flush.
Oh, what a cold deck for Frankie Gay. He flops second nut flush. Channing flops the nut flush. Ugly.
Frankie takes a hit there, but he still has plenty of chips to play with. Let's go over to table 2. Phil Hellmuth is in a hand with Bob Lilquist.
Sounds like a Northern European name.
Born in Zurich, Switzerland.
Close enough.
After Lilquist limped in with King 8 of hearts, Phil raised with Pocket Jackson. Lilquist made the call. Now the flop, King 6-10. Lilquist with a pair of kings. Phil bets $1,100.
Hellmuth takes step 1 into the Valley of Unhappiness.
Yeah, Lilquist just with the call. Deuce on the turn, no help to Phil. He's not worried though, $1,800.
Hellmuth takes another step into the Valley of Unhappiness.
Lilquist again just calls. Phil needs some help on the river. And it's another king. Lilquist ends up with trip kings and the check mark. And Phil checks this time.
Phil slows down.
2,400.
I hope Hellmuth picks up on that accent.
Value size bet from Lilquist. Phil calls.
Meltdown in 3, 2, 1.
What the
well
guy
done.
called the race with frickin' King 8.
This is the Valley of Unhappiness.
Man.
Hellmuth not happy with Lilquist's call of his pre-flop raise.
Moronic players are the Worst players.
There are
I've
actually
ever
new
played
rules in
against
place to
every
prevent
day.
player abuse. It's the Phil Hellmuth rule.
King 8.
Easy call. With position.
You want to discuss the hand, really?
No, I don't.
What's the reasoning behind calling the race with King 8? Just why not?
Position.
Figures will get a donkey to pay off with jacks.
We'll see who the donkey is at the end of the day, sir.
Donkey to be decided, but there's no disputing who the poker brat is.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Back to the Rio, almost 1,700 players started their run today for a share of the $61 million prize pool, $8.5 million to our winner. All in all, there are 6,494 entrants at the main event, and that means there are 6,494 characters.
This game's fun.
6,494 dreams.
Yes. Oh, my God.
And 6,494 stories. And here is one of the most compelling. Kent Center has cancer and only a short time to live. It was a dream of his to come play in the main event of the World Series of Poker. He's joined by his wife Patty and his 2 children, Tyler and Kaylin. They are on the rail to support their poker-playing father and watch him realize his dream. Right now he's in a hand against Yan Chen, who just bet $10,000 into Kent. Kent makes the call.
Okay, let's see him, please.
Showdown time. Kent opens up, and he's got a pair of kings, and that will win the pot.
Kent says he has 3 dreams: to be an astronaut, drive an Indy car, and play at the World Series of Poker.
We do wish Kent good luck, and we'll keep you up to date on his tournament progress. Meanwhile, in another part of the Rio, Annie Duke is all in and behind after the flop against 05 runner-up Steve Danneman.
We got a couple more out.
Danneman leads with pocket 9s against Annie's ace-king. Annie trying to stick around. Turn card now is another queen. That's not the worst card for Annie.
Oh, you could.
Ace, king, jack, 10. I'm not feeling it, though.
Danneman looking to knock out Duke. She needs an ace, king, jack, or 10.
Put your bag down, girl.
And now the river card is a deuce. Danneman wins the hand.
Annie, you're fired.
Annie Duke knocked out on day 1 of the main event.
Here they go. Piece of diamonds.
And she gets consoled by Steve Danneman, who himself was once consoled by this man, Joe Hashem, when Hashem beat him heads up in the 2005 main event.
I'm all in.
Hashem has just put a lot of pressure on his opponent, Casey Yance.
Want to go home, then you go all in.
World champs. What was that?
World champs give 6 speeches.
With an Australian accent, which makes it sound better.
There's no way you don't have it. There's just no way.
Yance folds.
Okay, I'm not all in. I'm not all in. Take it back.
Hashem wins with an aggressive move right there. He knows that sometimes, though, the bigger win is laying down to an all-in. A lesson learned on his way to the 05 championship, and something we'll hear from him in this edition of Straight from the Pros, brought to you by PokerStars.net.
It was on day 5 of the main event. It was the first hand that I played with Steve Danneman.
Joseph Hashem, ace-king of diamonds. Steve Danneman, pocket 9s.
I was under the gun, and I made it 160,000 to go, and he just smooth called from middle position.
Whoa, now a set of 9s for Danneman.
It was such a good flop for me, having the ace-king of diamonds in my hand. I elected to check. He bet out, and I check-raised him.
Hashem now with 1,000,000 chips back to Danneman.
All in.
With so much on the line. It was one of those moments where, how do I fold such a big hand? Steve was so relaxed. He was happy to wear his glasses. He was happy to recheck his cards. He was talking so much with me.
Take your time. Think about it.
The only way you can be comfortable is if you flopped a set.
I'll leave it till another time.
It was probably the biggest laydown of my poker career.
Whatever you have, nice hand.
Know when you're beat. Don't get married to your cards. If you're not able to let go of big hands, you can't win.
Hashem has proven his mettle. Since winning the main event in 05, he's made 2 other World Series final tables.
Time for our Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand as we play along to figure out one player's card.
This is just getting worse.
Daniel, I got Aleve, Claritin, Zyrtec.
Now I got a headache. I just started.
Oh, then I got Excedrin, Bear, Advil.
Oh, Daniel's got ace-5, along with bad sinuses. And Daniel's going to raise it up. A min raise to 400. Jeff Bryan folds. D'Ambrosio folds. Now to Maurizio Cohen. And he's got the Jack Link's wild card hand.
Oh, great.
From the big blind, he makes a call for 200 more.
Daniel min raised. There are 1,326 possible combinations of hole cards you can have. I believe Cohen could have any one of them.
The flop is a couple of 7s and a 10. We know that didn't hit Daniel. Cohen first to act. He checks.
That tells me nothing.
Daniel, 400.
I still have no read, Lon. Hey, I am not a fortune teller. I am not a soothsayer. I'm not even a good poker player. I know nothing.
Cohen immediately called, though.
I do have some fixed NyQuil liquid caps that could help Daniel.
Turn card is a deuce. Negreanu still doesn't catch any of that board. Cohen checks again. Now give me something, Norman.
Oh, get off my case, partner. Okay, maybe he's got a small pocket pair.
After Cohen's check, Daniel bets 750.
Daniel postures again.
What do I have? It doesn't matter what I have. What matters is what you have.
That's what we're all trying to figure out.
He calls.
I'm waving the white flag, Lon.
You don't know?
No 8, no 9.
Well, Daniel's put him on a straight draw, but I am clueless.
River card is an ace, and Daniel hits aces up.
Well, at this point, I will tell you, Lon, that the board is 7-7-10 deuce ace.
I could do that. Cohen check.
I don't know why Daniel would bet here. If Cohen missed his draw, he can't even call. If Daniel's read's wrong, he could be check raised.
Daniel does bet. And a call.
I have the ace.
But it's ace-queen for Cohen. He'll take the hand.
Good hand.
Oh, ace of spades, queen of hearts. Yeah, that would have been my second guess. If you knew that at home, well, good for you.
That's our Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. The moves get louder with every chip Daniel loses. The crowd favorite better get it in gear or he won't be back for a return engagement on day 2. Welcome back to the Rio. Well, let's go right to table 2 where Phil Hellmuth has been active today, right now in a hand with 2 new arch rivals. Phil raised pre-flop with ace-queen. Mark Davis has pocket 4s. Bob Lilkus with jack-9. The flop missed all 3.
He's the guy from Northern Europe, right?
Yeah, he was born there, but he lives in Canada now. Check, check over to Davis. He bets 2,200 with a small pocket pair. Lilkus folds.
You got it, kid?
$20 is the best hand.
Phil folds.
$20?
You want me to pay to see your hand?
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
$20?
Kid's got moxie.
Yes.
$20, it's the best hand. Hey, drinks on Phil tonight, boys. There, bro.
Well, just because you're using it to buy drinks, I'm gonna put up another 40 for your group to buy drinks.
Thank you, Phil.
Oh, come on, Phil. You had a harem of women carrying you into the Rio, and you can only shell out a couple of double sawbucks for drinks?
See the room again.
Oh, you guys are from Aruba? There's another 100 to buy drinks.
Oh, that's more like it. Phil's in a good mood right now.
There you go.
Hellmuth buying drinks. That sounds like something Scotty Wynn would do.
And my brother's wife's pregnant, too, so it'd help with the baby fund.
Don't push your luck, buddy. And speaking of Scotty Wynn, he's currently in a hand against Tommy Chin. After the river, there's a straight on the board.
You think you get some of that?
I had a straight on the turn.
Scotty put out a bet of 20,000.
Was it good?
With Scotty's bet here, he's trying to represent. He has a 9 in his hand for a 9 high straight.
Okay.
And makes the call.
Jump it up, baby.
Scotty tried to shimmy sham the kid.
They both play the board and split this pot.
I was asking my friends at dinner break if you were tight, like how you played, and they said you were tight.
Remember 2007, I have $22 million. 11 player left. I'm gone at 11, so you know. And then you think I'm tight?
Yeah, Scotty's tight like I'm buff.
Scotty doing well, over 50,000 chips. Back at our feature table, Daniel Negreanu is hurting. Under 20,000 chips, but over 12,000 tissues. He's in a losing battle with that cold.
I've got ibuprofen, I've got Actifed, I've got Flintstone vitamins.
Action on Negreanu. Ace-queen offsuit.
400.
Still min raising.
It's been a day of min raising for him. Small pots, lots of flops.
Young Jin Lee with king 10 of spades. He will come along. Jeff Bryan looks down at pocket kings.
Bryan was 27th in the 07 main event and 437th last year. A very solid amateur.
He's going to raise it up to 1,200. Daniel will call.
Have I mentioned lately I hate ace-queen?
That's pretty well known. Lee calls, so Jeff Bryan gets 2 takers. We'll see a flop here, 9, queen 7. Bryan's kings are still best. Daniel with top pair, but still sick. Lee with a gut shot. Negreanu and Lee check. And Bryan comes out with 2,100.
I don't want to give my ace-queen speech again, but it's a great flop for Daniel, and he's way behind.
Yeah, even with top pair. He calls, Lee calls, needing a jack for a straight.
Lee likes the pot odds, so he makes a loose call there.
Turn card is a deuce. Brian's still best with his kings.
Daniel usually can sniff these things out, but he's under the weather, and his radar is faulty.
Daniel first to act. Checks again. Lee checks behind him again. Brian continues to bet his kings, half the pot again.
Brian's pretty comfortable. Daniel's pretty congested.
Daniel calls the 5,000.
Daniel's calling off a lot of chips here. I know he's not feeling well, but he's going to feel a lot worse when he realizes how bad he's playing.
Lee gets out of the way. Heads up now to the river. It is a 7 that pairs the board. Jeff Bryan with the check mark. Kings up.
And Daniel, of course, with queens up.
Daniel checks again.
I knew he had kings. What am I doing? This is so stupid.
Brian showed him the winning hand. Kings up and takes a 20,000 chip pot from Daniel.
And Daniel's frustrations grow. He's under 10,000 chips.
It's dumb.
Kid Poker wondering if it's too late to call in sick. Next Tuesday, day 2 begins with a fascinating twosome at the feature table. Champion Greg Raymer and funny man Jason Alexander. And on November 10th, 9 players take center stage, but only one will walk away with the biggest prize in poker. Every Tuesday night at 8 and 9 p.m. It's the World Series of Poker on ESPN.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Get official items for your home poker game at WSOP.com.
Welcome back to the Rio 1700 began this day 1 session. Everyone hoping to survive and make it to day 2. And that includes Frankie Gay. An emotional day for him, but he's still got chips, and that's all that matters.
It's going real good. He's doing really, really good. Definitely feeling Pruitt with us today. No doubt about that.
It is a good day for Frankie Gay. It does look like he's going to be making day 2.
And it's been a good day for Joe Hashem, too.
I'm not like the worst poker player in the world. I even tell people not to put their chips in the middle.
Despite what he thinks.
Can't win against Joe.
Joe over 80,000 chips.
Hey, Joe, maybe you'll get your one time this year.
From a champion who berates himself to a champion who berates anyone within earshot, Phil Hellmuth in a hand right now with Anthony Newman. Phil raised pre-flop to 1,200. Newman made the call. We're going to the flop.
Newman has a PhD in philosophy. Sitting with Hellmuth might make him question the meaning of life.
9, Queen, 10. Hellmuth with a queen high straight.
Second time Phil has flopped a straight today with Jack 8.
Phil's going to come out betting 1,800. Newman with top pair and a gut shot is going to raise it to 5,300.
All right.
And Phil calls.
I'm a little steamed up.
Phil trying to act weak.
Turn card 3 of spades. Newman's world looking a little brighter. He has a flush draw. Phil checks.
Phil will now lay in the weeds. Why do people lay in the weeds?
I don't know. It's dirty over there. Newman could make a bigger straight than Phil. Comes out for 5,600.
All right, I call.
Phil check calls.
Phil trying to feign weakness. He was a better actor when he was dressed up as Caesar.
River card now is a spade, and Newman rivers a flush and gets the check mark.
We have now been plunked down, Lon, in the abyss that is the valley of unhappiness.
Phil checks his straight. Newman checks his flush.
I flop a straight.
Oh, my goodness. I hope the table is nailed down.
Straight's not good here.
Well played.
Well played? What is that?
Can you just hold on a second, dealer?
Just doing my job.
Come on, let's go. Ship the pot, right?
It is the valley of unhappiness. There are no malls, no spas, no children playing in the park.
They actually cheered for you.
I think they just like me better.
I mean, is this some kind of joke? I mean, I can't even believe what I'm seeing.
So we leave the valley of unhappiness and go back to what has been the pit of despair for Daniel Negreanu. He's short-stacked and feeling awful. It's been a rough day. Action starts on Ricardo Cibello. On the Jack Link's Beef Jerky pocket cam, Ace-Jack.
Cibello, a 29-year-old from the Netherlands.
And he will limp in with Ace-Jack. Daniel Negreanu now. Pocket trays.
Call.
Daniel just calls. On Young Jin Lee now with pocket queens.
Lee, another StarCraft veteran. That game's out of my league.
And with pocket queens, he's going to raise it up to 2,000.
Do that on purpose?
Action pulls back around to Cibello.
Does he want to play? He says, sure.
I'll gamble with the boys.
And Daniel's going to gamble too.
Daniel's way under the weather. He likes to see flops, but he likes to see them cheap. I'm surprised he called there.
Flop is 10-7-10. Lee's pocket queens keep him ahead. And he's going to find out now if an opponent has a 10. Bets 4,200.
Well, Lee's saying if nobody's got the 10, I'm good, and he is.
Sibella folded.
Daniel's radar is clogged.
My head is pounding. You have no idea. Ace again? What you got?
No.
No ace?
Yep.
Yep or no?
No.
You don't have an ace.
Well, I don't think Lee has to answer those questions without his lawyer present.
It's going to take me a minute.
It's been a bad day for Daniel, and it will turn worse if he plays on in this hand. If Daniel does play on, he'll probably be committing all of his chips.
Oh, Lee looks a little uncomfortable.
You can call a clock if you want. I don't mind. Really. I'm taking way too long. It's true. I'll call a clock on myself. Okay.
That's a professional move right there.
Never seen that before.
Can you do that?
You have 60 seconds to act on your hand. At the end of 60 seconds, you'll receive a 10-second countdown. If you're still unactive at the end of 10 seconds.
Wow, he really did call a clock on myself.
I guess you can.
I didn't know you could call the clock on yourself. I should have done that with my second marriage.
All right.
All in.
Daniel, all in.
You got a big pair?
How much?
Lee makes the call.
Queens? Good hand. 3 would hurt, huh?
Daniel's head hurts, and he is just in a fog.
Wow. I was folding, then calling, then folding. Like I changed mine 17 times. Then I just felt like maybe a 3 will come.
Lee cracked Daniel's aces earlier. He's in position to crack Daniel's main event. Turn card is a 6, no help to Negreanu.
He got scared of a 6? A 6 scared you?
Well, Daniel needs half a 6, a 3, and a 3 only, or Negreanu's main event is over early again.
River card is a jack, and that's going to do it. Lee wins the hand, knocking off Negreanu.
We'll go get some meds.
Another early exit from the main event for Daniel, not feeling well all day. He'll have a whole year to rest up.
2 men can lay claim to celebrating the best 2008 season at the World Series.
He's got his bracelet.
Superstar Eric Lindgren finally captured his first bracelet on the way to winning Player of the Year.
From unknown to unreal again at the World Series.
While Peter Eastgate came from obscurity to capture the main event title and over $9 million. Tonight, both begin their 2009 main event, hoping for a return to glory here at the World Series of Poker. Welcome back inside the jam-packed Rio for the main event of the World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. With Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. 6,494 players make up the 2009 main event field, but hundreds were turned away on this, the last of the day one sessions, as the main event sold out for the first time in its 40-year history. But for the 2,800 who did make it inside, the goal is to add their face to the wall of championship banners, right beside last year's winner, Peter Eastgate. The reigning champion is seated at table 2 and joined in his mammoth field by an eclectic collection of celebrities.
Oh, you want me in. You want me in.
Athletes. And an impressive group of poker pros, headlined by the man many consider to be the greatest player in the world, Phil Ivey. And at our featured table, the reigning Player of the Year, Eric Lindgren.
I think my friend's watching Phil Ivey. Maybe likes him better.
Better than you? He likes Phil Ivey better? I like you better than Phil Ivey, so.
I'm sure.
I like Eric, but I like Phil Ivey better too.
Action starts on Eric Lindgren on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky pocket cam. Couple of aces for Eric. Eric's going to raise it up to 200.
Geez, he and Daniel Negreanu are now min-raise savants.
Brad Myers, an amateur from Burlington, Vermont, with 6-5 of hearts, makes the call. Over to Ryan McKinnon from New Brunswick, Canada.
I'll get McKinnon to fix his hat a little later.
King Jack, he makes the call. So 3 players will see the flop. Lindgren with the aces. The flop is 5, 7, 10. Eric still ahead with those aces. Myers with a pair of 5s and a flush draw.
600.
After Lindgren checks, Myers bets 600.
Myers used to play chess and switched to poker. How come no one ever switches from poker to chess?
McKinnon folded. Myers favored with that draw. Eric calls.
Me and the master.
The master is like Daniel Negreanu. He likes small pot poker, particularly on day one.
Turn card, 4 of diamonds. Myers adds a straight draw. Eric checks it again.
Eric really stepping cautiously with those pocket aces.
Myers stays aggressive, 1,200.
I think he's blowing a smoke signal to someone outside the reel. It's like a text message.
Eric with the call. All right, river card is an 8, and Myers gets there. He hits his straight.
Daniel Negreanu had aces cracked on day one. His buddy following the same path.
Lindgren checks again. Myers improved on every street. He's going to make it 2,500. Eric calls. Myers shows the straight. Eric quietly mucks the aces.
6,494 players entered the main event. Eric right now, one of the unhappier ones.
I just like to torture myself in the tournaments.
Lindgren once again suffering through the E-Dog days of another main event.
Norman, everything went right for Eric Lindgren in 2008. He captured his first gold bracelet and was honored as Player of the Year. But 2009 has been a different story, and he's looking for a deep run in the main event to salvage his World Series.
Lon, I'm going to speak frankly and directly to Eric Lindgren. We all waited forever for you to win a bracelet. Congratulations. Now we're waiting forever for you to cash in the main event. How hard can it be? Sure, I've never cashed in the main event, but I've never played in the main event. Eric, I think this is your year. Go get him, buddy.
It seems to get tougher every year for anyone to cash in the main event, even for a Player of the Year such as Eric. Meanwhile, let's catch up with another former Player of the Year, Jeff Madsen, who scored his first main event cash last year.
But the 06 Player of the Year has been in an 09 funk.
Well, maybe it's those pink glasses. Madsen does bet 2,100 here. River card is out. His opponent thinks about it, makes the call. Madsen turns over a couple of trays and loses to jacks.
Good call. Madsen still only 24 years old. Eventually he'll turn 30.
There is Willie Walbeck, the only man who can still catch Jeffrey Lisandro for 2009 Player of the Year honors. He's in a hand right now with young internet superstar Tom Dwan. Dwan bets the river. Walbeck calls.
Wow.
Dwan chose 2 pair, and it looks like that might be good enough.
Dwan has been the flavor of the month for many months of late in poker. He's a high-stakes player, and he's tough to play.
Dwan, known as Durr, is sometimes called the next Phil Ivey. As for the real Phil,
All in a call, 90.
he is trying to knock out the player next to him.
He sucked out once.
Phil's got pocket aces, hits 3 aces in the flop, and he is the man.
Needless to say, he is my pick once again to win the main event.
Phil hit quad aces there. He's running hot. Hanging from the rafters, the brand new banner of the 2008 champion, and Peter Eastgate is beginning defense of that title today at table 2.
Eastgate, of course, the youngest ever to win the main event at age 22.
Action on Kenneth Hammett from Defiance, Ohio. Spent 40 years at General Motors. He's got pocket aces.
Hammett started playing poker in the Army while serving in Vietnam.
He raises it up to 600. Fold it over to the champ, Peter Eastgate. Peter looks down at ace-5 of diamonds.
Eastgate says he's been playing pretty awful poker since winning the main event.
Join the club. He'll go heads up with Hammett.
I've never been able to make my mustache turn up that way.
All right, the flop. 5, 8, 9. Hammett still way ahead. Eastgate paired his 5. Hammett first to act.
1,200.
He puts out a bet.
Hammett comfortable with that flop. Eastgate got a small piece of it, but he's still in bad shape.
He does call, though. Turn card is a 10. No help to Peter Eastgate. Hammett still way ahead. Another 1,200.
Hammett underbets the pot there.
Does Eastgate want to stick around? Yeah, he'll take a risk.
Well, he's drawn thin. Maybe he's going to try to make a play for the pot on the river.
River card. Another 5 trip 5s for Eastgate.
And Hammett with no idea how bad that river card was for him.
Hammett with a balk as he went for his chips. Now puts in 1,500.
I think plan A for Peter was to make a play, but plan B is better. Hit a 2-outer.
Absolutely. And a raise to 55-25.
And that raise is an unexpected eye-opener for Hammett.
55-25.
Hammett had a hammerlock on that hand until the river. He makes the call. And Peter Eastgate shows him the goods.
Wow. Welcome to the main event, sir.
Set off. Had a feeling, but...
Then why'd you call?
Tough to go up against the champ, huh?
Eastgate picking up right where he left off.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Sign up for the official WSOP e-newsletter at WSOP.com and FullTiltPoker.net. Learn, chat, and play with the pros.
He's made it here every year since 1974. Howard Tahoe Andrew.
Back at the Rio, two-time bracelet winner Howard Tahoe Andrew being recognized for playing in every main event since 1974. And as you see on our tournament ticker, Tahoe has watched the size of his competition grow tremendously during that time. In fact, there are more players this year than in the first 33 main events combined, including 2002 champ Robert Varconi. Beside him is Jordan Farmar from the NBA champ Los Angeles Lakers.
Has anybody ever won an NBA title and the main event?
The river, you got me on the river. See, little gypsy. I knew it would come back to me one day.
Also here is four-time NBA champ John Sally, last seen on the TV show I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here.
Hey, can I get a soy milk? No soy milk in this joint?
As for the champion of that reality show, it was Lou Diamond Phillips. He came up aces in the jungle and chose pocket aces here.
Has anyone ever been nominated for a Golden Globe and a Tony and won the main event?
I've had them twice and they've held up. Crazy.
At another table, comedian Ray Romano is all in and at risk.
Hey, that's Jeff Friedman. I play with him at Hollywood Park.
Well, Jeff Friedman just knocked out Ray Romano.
You're gonna miss me.
Has anyone ever won 3 Emmys and been knocked out that quickly from the main event?
So long, Ray.
This Jeff Friedman's a good player. I might owe him money.
Oh, that hurt.
Well, your buddy just made the main event a lot less funny. Back over to table 2, and a man who became an instant celebrity in the poker world last November, Peter Eastgate. 7 players saw a flop at his table. 4 will see the turn. Stephen Constantino leads after flopping a straight. Beza Javadzadeh with pocket trays and a straight draw. Patrick Kelly drawing very thin with a pair of aces. And Peter Eastgate with a pair of 5s and a flush draw. There's a deuce of hearts, and Eastgate gets the flush and the check mark. Javadzadeh just made the wheel. Constantino also with a 5-high straight.
Where did that card come from? Eastgate with the flush. 2 players have a wheel.
Kelly and Constantino check. Javadzadeh now with the straight. Bets 2,600.
He thinks that card was the joker, but the joke's on him.
Yeah, because Eastgate with the flush, and he makes the call for 2,600. Kelly gets out of the way. Constantino has a straight.
Well, he flopped a straight, and now he is stewing and considering mucking. Eastgate trying to mind his own business. Nothing going on over here.
Constantino with a disciplined laydown.
Great laydown there.
All right, so heads up to the river. Eastgate and Javadzadeh. Queen of clubs. Eastgate already has the check mark. Javadzadeh will act first.
Well, he bet drawn dead on the turn, and now he's going to bet again on the river 6.5 feet under.
6,000 from him. A call from Peter. That's not good enough. Peter Eastgate with another nice win.
I tend to find that world champions run good.
More chips for Eastgate, who over the past few months has had to resolve a conflict between 2 goals, flying under the radar while remaining a world-class player. Peter Eastgate is our 2008 main event champion.
I still can't believe I won the main event.
Peter Eastgate, 22 years old, the youngest main event champion ever.
I still can't believe I went through a field of almost 7,000 people to win a huge amount of money and a lot of prestige. My friends were way more ecstatic than I was. I was a little bit shell-shocked.
$9 million to Peter Eastgate.
I was just relieved that it was all over. I'm kind of getting more used to being the world champion and the responsibilities. I think I've remained the same, pretty much. Money is just something you use to buy things and to make yourself independent, but you still have to pursue other goals in life. If I were to choose between winning $9 million anonymously or winning the fame and the $9 million, I would probably go for the anonymous way.
Anonymity is overrated, Peter. Just look at the spoils of fame.
Yeah, the world champ does draw a crowd. And you know the difference between first and second place?
Over $3 million and no women hanging around.
Yeah, there's last year's runner-up, Ivan Demidov. He is all in a hand against Tom Worthman. And both players show ace-king. Demidov has the diamonds.
Demidov in great shape to survive. We're looking at a split pot here in all likelihood.
And the flop, King, Jack, Trey, 2 diamonds.
Well, now with a diamond, there would be no split pot. Demidov would take it all.
Turn card now is an 8 of diamonds, and with the flush, Demidov doubles up. Yeah, he was pretty much guaranteed to stay alive, but he got some bonus chips there.
Yeah, I tend to find that world champion runners-up also run good.
He had 2 great runs in 08, second here, and at World Series Europe, he had 3rd place. There is the main event bracelet that barely eluded Demidov last year. Everyone here at the Rio has that bracelet in their sights. They all either bought or played their way into the main event. Well, almost everyone. Brad Myers skated in.
You won this seat on a free roll?
Actually, my wife won the free roll and then gave me the seat. How sick is that?
That's Brad's wife on the right, Joanna.
183 people she won. She's only been playing poker for 6 months. You guys are lucky. It's me, not her.
You're not kidding. Boy, we're glad to see you.
All right. Action on Bobby Perillo from Scottsdale, Arizona. He's got pocket aces.
Well, let's see how he plays the aces.
He raises to 800. On to Eric Lindgren. Pocket queens.
Not a good time for pocket queens. And I don't think there's ever a good time for that shirt.
It matches the hat, though. He calls for 800. Brad Myers.
In the big blind.
Wow, ace queen.
I don't think his wife would play ace queen off in this spot.
But he does. 3 players will see the flop.
I need to start a lecture series on ace queen.
Here we go. 5 queen, deuce, case queen, and the flop. Lindgren hits a set.
And again, pocket aces become cracked aces. Wow.
Myers with top pair, top kicker. Checks. Measly pair of aces for Perillo. He bets 2,000. Lindgren now. Raised to 5,000.
I hate to be a broken record about ace queen, but this is a great flop for it, yet Myers can only win if someone yells fire, and he's the only one not to leave the table.
First hand you've re-raised.
Myers really shouldn't be talking with a 3rd player in the hand.
Myers thinking Lindgren's playing close to the vest.
No.
Actually, that shirt could use a vest.
He's just chatting.
Good laydown.
Me and you.
Now, if you're Perillo, you're not sure if Lindgren flopped a set, or maybe Eric flopped a club draw and is just trying to steal the pot right here.
Perillo needs 3,000 to call. And he puts it in. Eric's got him hooked. So heads up to the turn. Turn card 6 of spades. Perillo comes up short.
Well, Perillo believes Eric was on a flush draw. He would bet here.
Perillo checked. Lindgren. 1 orange chip. That's 5,000.
I'm all in there.
All in from Perillo and a quick call.
3 queens wins.
Eric turns over pocket queens. He's flopped a set of queens. Bobby has
Nice
pocket
hand.
aces.
Lucky hit.
Perillo in need of help. Now only the last ace in the deck would knock out Lindgren.
River cards a tray. Lindgren takes the pot.
Good hit, Eric.
That was lucky.
We're back in business, buddy.
Eric with almost 41,000 chips now.
Nice hand, man.
Those are the moments you pray for on day 1.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Welcome back inside the Rio for the final day 1 session of the 2009 main event, where Peter Eastgate is continuing his title defense and right now trailing in a hand as it heads to the turn. Hind Tran leads with pocket kings. Behzad Jevadzadeh flopped a pair of 7s, as did Eastgate. Everyone put in 800 on the flop. Here's the turn. It's another ace. Tran almost with a lock on this one.
Yeah, those percentages tell you Tran in good shape.
1,000 chips. That's pretty small.
It's a probe bet from Tran. It's an attempt to get information cheaply.
Jevadzadeh folded. Eastgate will commit the 1,000.
Eastgate called a small bet on the flop and does the same thing on the turn.
All right, river card. And wow, that's where all the aces are. Aces full of kings for Tran. Aces full of 7s for Eastgate.
Tran may be wary Eastgate has the final ace.
Just a check. Eastgate checks back. And those kings will tell the story. Eastgate comes up short.
Well, Tran was on unsure footing that whole hand, but Eastgate was standing in quicksand with bottom pair. Yeah, I think he's exasperated with himself.
Small pot there for Hind Tran, who has 6 World Series of Poker cashes and 1 final table on his resume. Just a few tables away, a more familiar name in the poker community, Hind's brother, J.C. Tran.
It took a while for JC to get a bracelet. but now he has won them in back-to-back years.
His latest coming this year, winning the $1,000 pot limit Omaha event. And JC adding to his stack here on day one of the main event. JC won 1 bracelet in 09. Phil Ivey won 2 bracelets, giving him a total of 7. Looks like he's about to knock off another player.
This is the 7th straight year I'm picking Phil Ivey in the main event. I wish he just looked more intent on winning.
That elimination brings smiles from Pat and Mel Humphreys, who've been cheering Ivey on for years, and any top pro will tell you that the Humphreys and Norman are backing the right horse.
Phil Ivey's the king of the game.
He just has a magic about him. He is just so hard to beat.
He has that aura about him and those scary eyes, you know.
Everybody is afraid of Phil Ivey.
I'm scared of myself.
I'm all in.
He's just that much better than everybody else that's playing right now. He's our Federer, Tiger Woods, Jordan.
Well, that's a little dramatic. I take it as a compliment. To even be thought of as the best at something is, it's nice.
Phil Ivey cementing his reputation as one of the world's top players.
Whatever I'm doing, I want to be the best that I can be at it. And hopefully I'll remain at the top of the game for a long time. It means a lot to me to be able to win the main event, even though I know it's a very, very tough tournament to win. If I'm playing well and I have as good a chance as anybody, hopefully I'll win this thing.
Ivey a little tired today because he played all night in the big game. Would it kill him to get a good night's sleep before the main event?
How can you knock the guy? He's the best in the world. He can play on as little sleep as he wants.
Not when I'm picking him.
Back to our featured table, where Eric Lindgren is seated. Can you believe he's never cashed in the main event, Norman?
Maybe he's sleeping too much.
Yeah, could be. All right, Eric with ace-8 of hearts.
Eric says he's been the biggest bust out of 2009.
He raises to 500.
He did cash 4 times this year, all top 35 finishes. He plays to a higher standard.
Brad Myers with pocket 9s in the small blind. Makes the call.
I think Myers should have raised it there. You don't want to play 3-handed with pocket 9s.
With Jack 10, Ryan McKinnon calls 3 to the flop. Flop is Trey 8-6. Lindgren with a pair of 8s. Myers 9s are still good. McKinnon missed. Myers and McKinnon check. Eric with top pair. That's 1,000.
Eric likes his hand.
But it's second best. Myers with a raise with his pocket 9s. McKinnon folds.
Myers with a nice play there, taking my buddy to check raise school.
And Lindgren will call for 1,500 more.
Making eyes at each other.
Supposed to just lay it down there. I mean, it's a little early to do that. Make it easy.
Turn card now. Eric regards his opponent. 7. Myers adds an up and down straight draw.
Eric still holding top pair, top kicker.
That top pair trumped by Myers' pocket 9s. Myers bets 3,400.
Eric doesn't seem to have a real good beat on the amateur. He's far behind here, as you can see from the percentages.
Eric's going to commit the chips. Myers way ahead. River card now. Another 7. Myers with a check mark. He has the better 2 pair.
If I'm Myers, I'd put a nice value bet in here. See, I'm trying to teach the next generation.
He checked.
They don't want to learn.
Kids today.
Well, now, is Eric going to bet? He might think 8s and 7s are good.
No, he checks. Myers wins.
9s. That's the one hand I couldn't beat.
Eric, there were a gazillion hands you couldn't beat.
Eric lays it down. Brad wins the pot.
Almost bet the end.
Myers gets him again.
Help me, Norm.
Eric, I can't help you if you can't help yourself.
Back inside the Rio, top pro Jennifer Harmon is still looking for her first main event cash. Jennifer's husband, Marco Traniello, also playing today, but taking a short break. He, too, is seeking his first cash in the big one. Another happy couple who recently said I do are working today as well. There's Chad Brown.
Chad has 27 World Series cashes without a bracelet, but he's cashed in nicely at the altar.
No way you have to.
And his new wife, Vanessa Russo.
She's got 10 World Series cashes.
Can I see one? I'll show you one. This one?
Vanessa showing a lot of confidence at her table.
That was the right pocket pair.
But elsewhere at the other end of that spectrum, Robert Williamson III.
I smell a big hand over there. You got ace-king minimum, I guarantee it.
Robert shows pocket jacks.
Show one for the cameras. I know I was right.
You're beat.
I know it was me, but show for the cameras. It makes a good TV time.
Oh, and he shows pocket 10s.
Oh, man, I just made an ass out of myself. Why'd you show that hand?
Be careful what you wish for, Robert.
I hate my life.
As we learn in this edition of The Nuts, when it comes to your hand, there's a time to show and a time not to show.
You want me to show? Who's the king?
Good lay down.
No shows the bluff.
Woo!
You don't ever want to give any bit of information that your opponents can use against you.
If I fold, will you show me? They can try and get a read on why it is you're showing those cards and what you plan on doing with your next play. Sir, how much would you like cash money to see your hand? How much?
It's probably best to keep your cards to yourself.
Don't show your hand unless you have to. Go ahead and take the money, quietly slide it in the money.
I had you, right, baby?
A lot of people say never show a hand, let them all keep guessing.
Mike, check this bluff out.
Because I'm Mike Matusow and everybody wants to beat me, I want them to think I have a hand every time.
I just never have a hand, so I gotta steal my money.
It's great to show a bluff against a player that can really just explode.
That was worth the price of admission.
You show your hand and Phil shoots up to like 300 feet in the air.
No, he didn't.
Yes, he did.
Unless you're skilled enough to be able to change the way you play,
Show the bluff.
then don't show your cards, ever.
And speaking of not showing your hand, we go back to our featured table and our Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand. We conceal one player's whole cards. It's your job at home to figure out what the hidden cards
I'm
are.
gonna put someone on a hand line.
Once in your life. Serge Pouliot, 27-year-old Montreal bartender, has the Jack Link's wild card hand. And with that hand, he is going to call for 200.
The guy's a bartender. He limps in under the gun. That usually means Jack 5 suited in hearts. Bartenders like suited cards because it's easier to remember. You know, like a one liquor drink.
Good idea. Pocket sixes for Michael Marichko from Las Vegas. Queen deuce for Michael Mercaldo, who used to be a hedge fund manager. He calls from the small blind. Eric Lindgren used to be player of the year. He's got ace 6 of diamonds, and he checks his options.
He could have raised there and knocked out the pretenders.
All right, so 4 players will see the flop. Ace, Jack 7. Eric Lindgren paired his ace.
A rainbow flop without a heart in it, but the bartender might have paired his Jack.
Mercaldo checked. He missed the flop. Lindgren checks his weak ace.
Pouliot's got a pair of Jacks, I think.
You think so? All right, pair of Jacks.
Oh, yeah.
Put it in the ledger.
Definitely a pair of Jacks, Eric.
Everyone checks to the turn. It's an 8 of diamonds.
See, a bartender, Lon, likes to fix a gin and tonic. It's just a gin and tonic. But if you're asking for a white Russian, that's a bit complex. It's a couple of different alcohols plus the cream.
Mercaldo checked, drawing dead. Lindgren with 4 diamonds to a flush checked.
Why is Eric checking a pair of aces with the nut flush draw?
Pouliot bet 450.
At this point, Pouliot figures no one has an ace, so he would bet his Jacks. Eric should be check raising here and just end matters. I can't do everything for him. He's got to do it himself. He's got to know Pouliot's betting a pair of Jacks.
Just a call from
Jeez.
Eric. All right. Heads up now to the river. Lindgren and the mystery cards. River card is a 4.
That changes nothing.
Lindgren, first to act. A check.
Eric wants to keep the pot small.
Pouliot's going to put some chips in. 825.
Eric's getting 3-1 on a call here. If he puts his chips in and he is right half of the time in this spot, he's making a profit.
Eric with the ace, but a weak kicker.
I'm telling you, the barkeep has a pair of Jacks. Look at him. It's written all over his face.
Lindgren makes the call.
Good call.
Pouliot shows ace, queen, a bigger ace.
Bad call. So the barkeep was playing a Long Island iced tea, not a gin and tonic. Hey, I was wrong. Let's move on.
Hope you enjoyed the Jack Link's Beef Jerky wild card hand.
Should have folded.
Maybe not an expensive hand for Eric, but a demoralizing turn of events. Next Tuesday, day 2 begins with a fascinating twosome at the featured table. Champion Greg Raymer and funny man Jason Alexander. And on November 10th, 9 players take center stage, but only one will walk away with the biggest prize in poker. Every Tuesday night at 8 and 9 p.m. It's the World Series of Poker on ESPN.
The World Series of Poker, presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Main event.
Welcome back to the 40th Annual World Series of Poker. Eric Lindgren at our featured table trying to get something going. He's been especially dogged by Brad Myers, who is here only because his wife gave him the seat that she won online.
Did your wife give you any advice on the break?
She said, play your best and you'll have nothing to worry about.
Boy, love is blind.
When Eric Lindgren plays his best, he is one tough man to beat. Action begins on Bobby Perillo on the Jack Link's Beef Jerky pocket cam. Couple of black 8s.
Don't know much about Perillo, but I like the cut of his jib.
Yeah. He's got a good look at the table. He calls for 300. Action folds around to Mercaldo. Ace-7 offsuit.
I'm not sure about this guy's jib.
He calls. Lindgren. Pocket aces again.
Pocket aces have been doomed all day.
Action on 24-year-old Evan Panises from Overland Park, Kansas. King 10 of diamonds.
Another jib I'm suspect of.
He makes the call. George Hardy with 6 deuce. He's a big name in poker.
Yeah, this fellow used to run the Bicycle Casino in Los Angeles. Great place.
He checks his option.
By the way, why would Eric want to play pocket aces 5-handed?
That's what he's doing. Jack 5-5. Eric's aces are good.
Nobody has a jack. Nobody has a 5.
No. 6 deuce is checked by Hardy. That flop didn't hit anybody. Check from Perillo, Mercaldo, and Eric.
Why is Eric checking again? He must be reading not-so-super system.
Everyone checks to the turn. Turn card is a king. That hits Panises, but his kings come up short to Eric's aces.
Let the checking begin.
Hardy and Perillo check. Mercaldo, drawing dead, bets 1,200.
He makes a play for the pot. I don't blame him.
Lindgren just calls.
I don't understand a call there. Eric's a great player. Maybe he's trying to set up a trap.
Panises with kings up makes the call. And that gets rid of Hardy and Perillo.
Eric's still in great shape in the hand, but he's played it like one of the Olsen twins.
So 3 players to the river card. 7 of hearts, 3rd heart on board. Lindgren with the check mark. He has aces up. But Mercaldo comes out with 5,000.
He'll bluff at it again with a pot-sized bet.
Action to Lindgren now. And he lays down the aces.
I don't blame Eric for mucking it there, but if he had raised pre-flop or on the flop, Mercaldo wouldn't be around to make this play.
Panises gets out of the way. Mercaldo wins it with a bold move on the river.
Worst hand wins. Eric, look over there at seat 9. He's a pro.
Mercaldo had an opening, and he took it.
2008 was a good year. 2009 sucked.
Eric Lindgren has reason to be singing the blues, but hopefully he will leave the singing to the man with the tattooed arms, Sully Erna, lead singer of Godsmack.
I'm thinking of tattooing the poker brat on both of my arms.
Sully has cashed twice in the main event.
I gotta climb the big hill again.
Perhaps Sully could perform with another set of tattooed arms, those of Scott Ian, guitarist for the band Anthrax.
What is this, a musicians with tattoos instructional video?
You can't riff on poker and music without mentioning Prahlad Friedman of Poker is Fun for Everyone infamy.
What's up, guys? I'm not talking for you. I'm just boring.
Let's leave Prahlad alone. He might start rapping again.
We may not have to worry about Prahlad, but beware of Jeff Madsen.
No.
Yeah, he thinks of himself as the World Series' newest MC.
Okay, yo, this is Jeff Madsen. I got my crew and about to show you best rapping. It's what I do.
I've always been into hip-hop music. I'll definitely use rap to kind of get out some frustration and emotion.
Yo, I'm about to tell you about my World Series. It's been kind of hard, just fear me. I had pocket jacks I raised. This guy had aces, man, I folded, I was blazed. About to do it pronto, trying to win 3 bracelets like Jeffrey Lisandro. Main event, I'm a beast out the gate, yo, trying to beat Eastgate, heads up.
Am I a better poker player or rapper? I'm probably a better poker player, but hopefully soon they'll be on the same level.
Rob?
This is Jeff Madsen.
Peace.
The less said about that, the better. So let's just move on. MC Madsen just moved all in, and as 50 Cent put it so eloquently, Jeff is about to get rich or die trying, Norman.
Well, Madsen is ahead with the all-in here.
All right, well, he's got ace-queen, still best for Jeff right now against Carter King.
Do you think he's rapping in his head right now?
I'm sure he is. A queen hits both. Madsen has the best kicker.
Madsen needs to avoid a king to stay alive.
River card now is a deuce, and Madsen will double up, but he's still very short on chips. However, many great songs are born from adversity, so Jeff will have a story either way. Back to table 2, and the reigning champ, who probably has never rapped, Peter Eastgate.
I think he favors smooth jazz.
Peter Eastgate flopped a pair of 10s. He's a big underdog to Roger Lee, and his ace is up. Lee checked the flop. Eastgate bets it 1,000.
Lee, a security lieutenant at Emerald Downs Racetrack in Auburn, Washington.
We'll raise it to 3,000.
A nice check raise against the aggressive Eastgate. And we have seen the defending champion playing from behind all day.
Eastgate taking his time. He does call.
And he is way behind here.
Turn card now is a jack. Eastgate hits 2-pair, but Lee's 2-pair, much better.
Yeah, it looks like Eastgate caught up a little, but he's still way behind.
Lee slyly checks it. Eastgate with jacks up, bets 4,000.
Lee using Eastgate's aggression against him.
And now the man with aces up raises it again, this time to 8,000.
Another check raise from the amateur against the champ.
A re-raise from Eastgate.
Eastgate's not a believer.
That would put Lee all in. He can't get the chips in fast enough.
Eastgate's got to be a believer now.
Aces up for Roger Lee. Jacks up for Peter Eastgate. One card to come.
Peter looks a little flamooshed.
Yeah.
Eastgate can only knock out Lee here with a river jack or 10.
River card is a 5, and Roger Lee played that very well against the world champ and doubled up.
Thank you very much. Back in the game. Back in the game. Courteous of the world champion.
Well, I don't think that was a courtesy double up, but after losing that pot, Eastgate is probably already planning his revenge. The best of the best have won Player of the Year, but that honor has not translated into success at the main event that same year. None of the 5 Players of the Year have advanced past day 2, including Eric Lindgren last year. But Eric describes one hand he did play well in last year's main event in this edition of Deal Me In, brought to you by FullTiltPoker.net. On day 1, Eric was in position to take a lot of chips from Andrea Pave, but it took some skillful betting to pull it off.
He raised with the ace-king, and he had a nice stack, so I called him with the 2 4s. And it comes ace, ace, 4.
Wow, Lindgren hits a full boat.
When I flop the nuts, I'm trying to judge my opponent. Is he an aggressive guy that will get in a lot of chips? Is he a conservative guy that wants to stay in the tournament? I kind of knew that he wanted to stay in the tournament. So I needed to really build the pot a little more quickly so my bet sizes would make sense and encourage him to call. He bet about 1,400 and I raised him to 4,200. A lot of people would just slow play the flop and just call. If you really think your opponent has an ace, it's good to try to get the money in right there before some cards come to scare him. And the turn comes the 6 of clubs, and what a terrible card for him. He now has a flush draw to go with his ace-king. That's the perfect card for me. So he checks. So I bet 9,000, and he calls.
River card is a 10.
He checks it, and I decided to bet at 14,000. I think he had about 17 left.
Trip aces and top kicker. He must think his hand's good.
And he finally called.
What a difficult and devastating hand for Pave.
Early in the main event, you need to get as many chips as you can because there's so many pitfalls like this hand where you need to have more chips than your opponent.
Well, how many chips does Eric have right now? I can see why him and Daniel Negreanu didn't do well in their Player of the Year prop bet this year against any 2 comers.
And their bankrolls took a bit of a hit. Bobby Perillo looks down at a 9 and a 10 offsuit. He calls for 300.
Too much limping in the main event? Sure, playing conservatively generally keeps you out of trouble, but it can get you into trouble.
Mercaldo with Queen Trey of Diamonds limps as well. Eric with Ace 10. He limps.
Limping is contagious. Eric's been content to limp in all day.
Serge Pouliot in the small blind with King 8 offsuit calls for 150. Evan Panisis, King Jack offsuit, checks his option.
Table for 5, no waiting.
Only Lindgren has an ace. So here we go to the flop. 7 ace Jack, Eric with top pair, Panisis with middle pair. Pouliot, Panisis check. Perillo checks. He's got an inside straight draw. Mercaldo check.
7.
Eric bet 700.
Eric's going to bet his hand for a change. I guess the carrier pigeon delivered my note.
Pouliot and Panisis get out of the way.
Perillo called with just a gut shot. He's an optimist.
He needs an 8 to make a straight, and he does call.
Remember, Eric, you're the Player of the Year.
Mercaldo folded, so aces versus jacks. A 6 on the turn. Perillo gets no help.
Player of the Year, Eric. Play the part.
Perillo trying to figure out if Eric has the ace. He checks.
Check is good.
No, check is not good. Why is he checking?
River card is an 8, and Perillo hits his jack high straight, and he bets it right away, 2,000.
I hope the tape of this telecast is destroyed before Eric sees it. It'll set him back 15 years.
You don't have ace 9, do you, Bob? You really might.
What could I say?
Well, when a man winks at you, he's either got the best hand or the worst intentions.
Eric, I'm desperate.
I know you are.
Eric lays it down.
Did you have ace-9?
Time and time again, Eric is just letting people beat him.
Boy, did I let that get there.
Yeah, Eric Lindgren will not be using that hand as a training tape anytime soon. From the 08 Player of the Year to someone who's a worthy candidate for Player of the Universe, Phil Ivey.
How much you got left?
33 and change.
That's not what you want to hear when you're playing Phil Ivey.
No, I'd be more comfortable stuck in a car with a band of rabid weasels than I would going heads up in a pot against Phil Ivey.
Ivey playing the role of Grim Reaper at this table, just bet enough to put Gary Tang all in. Tang is in agony, and he lays it down.
That is a lot of agony for day one, and there's my man.
Ivey doing what he's supposed to do. Jordan Farmar surprising a lot of people among the chip leaders here on day one.
By the way, he's got to work on his defense.
Elsewhere, Ivan Demidov was one player away from the championship last year, but right now he was 2 cards away from a day one elimination.
It's been a slow 2009 for Ivan, only 1 cash at this World Series.
Ivan gets no help on the turn, and Demidov is an early casualty at the 2009 main event.
As is often the case, 1 year can make a big difference.
Over to table 2 again, and the man who eliminated Demidov last year, world champion Peter Eastgate. Peter in a hand right now. His 2 kings are ahead after a flop of 3 spades. Peter has a flush draw, but Steve Constantino holds the nut flush draw. Post flop, Peter bets 1,300.
Constantino is a 43-year-old electrical contractor from Port Orange, Florida.
And he commits 1,300 chips as well.
Peter said he entered last year's main event with no expectation of going deep.
6 of diamonds. Eastgate's kings are still best. And he comes out with 2,200.
It's nice to see Eastgate ahead for a change and dragging along a victim.
Constantino just on the draw.
If a spade comes out, Eastgate's going to lose a bundle here with a king-high flush.
Yeah, Constantino with the nut flush draw as we go to the river. River card, 5 of diamonds. Eastgate with his kings will earn the check mark.
3,800.
3,800.
Eastgate wants to extract 3,800 more chips from Constantino, but Constantino just has ace-high.
And a raise from Constantino. That's bold. Makes it 15,000.
Wow. Constantino makes a play, a stone-cold electrical contractor bluff against the reigning world champion.
So the eyes of Icegate. Peter trying to figure out his opponent. He makes the call.
Good call.
He sniffs it out.
Wow.
That's the Peter Eastgate we know.
It's good.
He smelled something rotten in Constantino's actions. And it cost the contractor plenty.
Good call.
A world champion read by Peter Eastgate. He hasn't lost a step.
The 2009 World Series of Poker is presented by Jack Link's Beef Jerky. Feed your wild side. And in part by WSOP.com. Get official items for your home poker game at WSOP.com.
It's the final day one session of the main event here at the Rio, and it seems to be time for someone to hit the showers.
Elvis is leaving the building.
Elvis never wore a striped shirt.
John Sally on his way out.
All in call.
And the Vanilla Ice of Poker may soon be joining him. Jeff Madsen all in. Carter King is in better shape this time against Jeff. King with 2 aces. Madsen with a gut shot straight draw after the flop.
I don't understand why the rapper in training with 20 big blinds left would push all in on the flop on a semi-bluff.
The turn card is an 8 that pairs the board. Madsen still in need.
Madsen needs a 10 and a 10 only, or he is whamboozled.
The river card is a 5, and King will win the hand. Jeff Madsen gone.
He shouldn't be rapping. He should be singing the blues about himself.
Yeah, disappointing 2009 World Series comes to an end for Madsen. Elsewhere in the Rio,
I'm on.
Durr trying to work his magic. Tom Dwan all in. Needs one more club against Nathan Hayes to give him the nut flush.
Here's another new age play. The blinds are still a pittance. Dwan goes all in for 24,000 chips on a club draw.
And he hit it on the turn. Wow, that is Tom Dwan in a nutshell.
The online wunderkind now flushing chips. I tell you, he knows better than I, that much I will say.
He's looking to mirror his online success here in the main event. Meanwhile, Robert Williamson is still having trouble guessing his opponent's cards.
You want another good one?
show this one. I bet I had the best hand.
Would you have
Just ace 10.
Ace 10.
God!
It looks like Robert folded the best hand to this guy again.
God! Please.
I think Robert Williamson could use a self-intervention.
Back at the feature table, Eric Lindgren has had a frustrating 09 World Series. Things have not changed for him so far in the main event, but at least he's making some friends.
Not every day I get to sit with one of the best players in the world, have a good time.
Cool sounds pretty good, yeah.
Talking about Serge.
Actually, I think me and Eric are going to have to sit down. I'm going to have to retool his game.
Eric does seem just a little bit off so far tonight. Action folds around to Eric Lindgren. Eric has ace tray of diamonds.
Let's see how he misplays this ace.
He does raise it to 700. Brad Myers now.
In the small blind.
Pocket jacks. And he's going to call. George Hardy in the big blind, 6-5 offsuit.
George Hardy deserves a lot of credit for poker rooms. Even being in California, he was in the forefront.
3 players as Hardy made the call. The flop is deuce king ace. Lindgren hits a pair of aces. Myers and Hardy check.
If Eric checks here, I'm suspending him from poker for 1 full year.
All right. Get out the red card.
Well, there's some paperwork I got to take care of before that suspension goes into effect.
Turn card now. 9 of diamonds hits no one. Eric Lindgren still ahead. Myers with his pocket jacks puts out a bet of 1,100. Hardy gets rid of his rags.
Well, maybe Eric's smarter than me.
Oh, there's the notion.
And he was trying to induce Myers to bet with the inferior hand on the turn.
Eric flat calls. River card now, heads up. It's an 8. Eric with the check mark.
Myers wondering, what would my wife do here?
Yeah, check.
Myers checks.
Well, he checked way too many times there, Lon. Lindgren's got to know he's got the best hand.
I think he's trying to induce a check from Eric, but Eric is reaching for chips. Makes it 34 to stick around.
Oh, the magic's back, I think.
Can beat a heart draw.
Oh, heart draw, smart draw. Throw your jacks into the bin.
Myers.
You win.
Looks one last time at a jacks and folds.
Does the right thing. I can't believe Eric survived that hand and day one. I'm still suspending him.
A small payback for Eric.
Maybe if my jacks were good, Eric. Jacks? I had 6s.
Finally, my boy's playing poker.
That's not funny.
But Lindgren does get the last laugh tonight. All the day ones are finally over, and 4,400 players now remain in the 2009 main event. Reigning champ Peter Eastgate started a solid defense of his title.
You guys played great.
And reigning player of the year, Eric Lindgren, remains upbeat and confident.
I still got a great chance to win this thing.
Billy Walbeck's quest to catch Jeffrey Lisandro for player of the year is still alive. And with a former player of the year out the door, Prahlad Friedman is the lone poker MC still rapping. And when it comes to real musicians, one tattooed rocker is moving on, another headed out.
Time to go home.
Many big-name pros advance to day 2, including some who just feel fortunate to be alive.
God, why am I so bad at poker?
And while it may be a surprise to see certain people among the chip leaders, it's no surprise to see Phil Ivey with a mountain of chips. Just a scary thought for everyone else. For Norman Chad, I'm Lon McCarran. Next time, we'll move one step closer to crowning a champion from the World Series of Poker.